like experience the street life for a moment. Then like you go to a foster home, you know, you're bound to like go down the wrong path. And it's kind of what happened with me. So now it's like me and my girlfriends are at 13 doing meth. And it's a every weekend thing, you know, and every weekend turns into every other day thing. So right when they're taking him to jail, the guy that was kidnapped escaped from the place, wherever they had him. So then they hit me with, you know, we got you on camera. And I'm thinking in my head, like, they probably do that on camera. They're like, okay, they're taking your kids already. You have 5 minutes to say bye to them. And that's probably like the hardest thing. Like every time I think about it, I'm just like, I really do not know how I did it. When I went to my first hearing, they're like hitting me with like 25 to life. Charging me for a kidnap, robbery with a gun. My bill was $1 million.
If you really think about it, you did 8.5 years in there. It takes a little time to transition. Sometimes we may not like to admit it, but you know, it might serve you as a good thing just to figure it out a little bit.
Take us to the day when you got locked up. Welcome back to the Rancher Network podcast. It's your boy Yak.
It's your boy T.
And we back at it again with another one, man. Thank you guys so much for the support, the likes, subscribes, the shares, man. The love isn't just going to us, but it's going to those that we've had on the podcast, man. You guys giving those likes, those comments, you're supporting them as people and supporting their stories. So thank y'all so much. But as y'all can see, man, we got another rare one, a first timer for us, especially. But I want to give a really big shout out to our new guest, Evelyn. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys for having me here.
No, thank you. Man, you're our first female. Yeah. How do you feel? You're our first female on the show.
I hope I'm the first of many to come.
That part, exactly. I love that. Even the girls in the back just giving it. Right. So obviously, you know, today's episode is really going to be so many different perspectives, but probably a lot of similarities too. We don't know. And I think that's really the goal to find out about today. So, you know, talk to us a little bit about, you know, where you grew up and when you kind of started getting into some trouble, if you even did. What was that like?
So I was born and raised in Boyle Heights, East LA. So, you know, we have definitely a lot of violence in our streets. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a very loving home, I would say. My mom, the total housewife. You know, she did everything you could think of. She was a stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. She raised us with very good values and morals. My dad, on the other hand, you know, he did his thing, you know, drugs, alcohol, but, you know, my mom kept it hidden from us. Like, I did not know really how my dad's lifestyle.
Wow.
It wasn't until they got a divorce when I was 9 years old. They had a custody battle for us. We ended up going to live with my dad. And for me, that's really where, like, everything started, you know. My dad was, like, super lenient. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about, if I didn't want to go to school, you could stay. Wow. You know, and I have all my friends come over.
That's
like,
crazy.
You know, he was that type of dad, like the cool dad. I am the only girl. I have 3 brothers. Mm-hmm. So
that's tough. That's tough too.
You know, people would say that, oh, you know, like you were sheltered, you know, like your brothers didn't let you do this. And I'm like, no. On the contrary, you know, it's like my brothers never told me, no, you can't do that. If I wanted to play with cars, you could play with cars. If I wanted to ride bikes with them, they let me ride bikes with them. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I kind of grew up, I feel like they treated me as another boy. Like not, you know, like you're a girl. No.
Right.
You know, so on that perspective, like I thank them, you know. Mm-hmm. But then on the other hand, you know, they ditched, I ditched.
Yeah.
Like they drank, I drank. That, you know, so that was kind of like, you know, it wasn't a good thing. But yeah, when I was 9 years old, I went to go live with my dad, and I started partying. I was 9, 10 years old, and I was like already out in the street.
You were out in the parties.
You
No.
know? Yeah, and yeah, my dad would let me. Like,
Just quick question. I'm curious on this. I know you were young, but at least I feel like you were young enough to maybe at least understand. How was your mom able to keep all that hidden away from you? Like your dad's, like, you know, him smoking, or I don't even know if he was smoking, but his drug problem or his drinking problem. How was she able to keep that hidden from you? Were you guys living together? Was everybody in one house, or?
no, yeah. So I think she had like this thing, like, do whatever you want, just don't bring it in the house. You know, like my dad would like have his thing in the car, like you know, he wouldn't like really bring it around us, other than, you know, like he would come home from work and like drink a beer or two, you know.
Yeah.
Like that was a norm for me. But the other stuff, like I did not find out until like I lived with him and actually like experience his lifestyle. So yeah, you know, at a very young age, I was introduced to alcohol, you know, party life, like.
Even the transition, at least, because you said you got custody, your dad got full custody.
He sure did.
I'm surprised on how that worked.
That's exactly what I'm surprised.
So-
Like,
Yeah.
how didn't you choose mom, or how didn't whatever? Even if did you even have that opportunity
Yeah.
to choose moms over pops? You know, like I know that has to be a tough one.
Right.
So honestly, my mom was the strict one, you know. So when they separated, and you know, dad was like, you know, yeah, come live with me, and you know, he would like buy us stuff, take us here, take us there, you know. So like, if he's making us choose between, you know, like stay at home with my mom,
Right,
where
right.
I have rules, and you know, she's strict.
You got to do homework. you
As
gotta
to
get up.
with my dad, where he's like, hey, you know, like I'm gonna give you guys this, I'm gonna give you guys that. So we're like, all right, let's choose that. And then at that time, you know, like my mom kind of started dating, and we were like,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no.
I know how that feels.
no,
I can
like,
see that.
definitely.
Yeah.
We're like, no. And also, my dad got a paid lawyer. And honestly,
Whoa.
I would say that like definitely, like, you know,
Changed the way that things were going.
It really did, you know. Yeah, the paid lawyer was a good lawyer, you know, because that's what like my mom would say. How is it that like he has like a criminal history, you know, like of drugs, alcohol, like, and I don't have anything, but yet you still choosing to like give my kids to him. But you know, I feel like because we were already a little older, and we had a saying, and we were like, no, we want to go with my dad. So they were like, fine.
And your older brothers, I'm sure, were playing a big part of that too. Where it's like I'm sure they were older. Well, who's the oldest at that time? Maybe
So if I was 9, he's 6 years older than me.
okay,
Oh,
so
he
that'd
was
be
already
15,
big, running around
15,
or doing whatever.
Oh.
15
15
is a
about,
good-
and at that age, you're able to speak on a lot of stuff, and I'm sure they were able to kind of like persuade somebody if anything. But wow, it's just that kind of just makes me think about so many other stuff, where even the system in itself, like, should more steps be taken to see if the parent is really steady? Should there be drug tests included? Should no matter what, you know, it's those questions too that we could touch on. But walk us more, if you could start walking us through kind of when, like, how that developed from there. You said you started going to parties. Was this your brothers, like, or you know, was
So there's this neighbor. She was like maybe like 3 years older than me, because she was like 14, 15. And he would always let me go out with her. And, you know, she was older. So she was the one that would, like, go to, like, 15s, go just, you know, have always a party on the weekend. And he would, like, let me sleep over. So it was, like, you know, it was cool. Like, she was my front neighbor. And, so that's where I got introduced, you know, like, kind of, like, to the party life. Unfortunately, when I was 12, so finally, you know, like, everything caught up with my dad, and we got taken away from him. We went to a foster home.
oh,
God damn, at 12 years old.
At
huh?
12
Yeah.
years old. So we went to a foster home, and because, you know, we had like decided not to be with my mom, and like, no, my mom, like, she wasn't a fit mother anymore for us, you know. The system was like, nope. Now, like, if your mom wants custody of you guys, she has to like go through all these classes. So we were in the system for about a year. And, you know, of course, my mom did everything she was supposed to do. You know,
Okay, so it wasn't just like they took him away. That's it. She was trying to get to.
oh no, yeah, like after
That's
we
love, yeah.
went to the system, they told her like, you have to do all this if you want your kids back. And you know, it's like now that I look back, I look back and I'm like, I wonder what my mom must have felt or must have gone through. Like she went from being a stay-at-home mom, for many years to like, bam, like you have nothing, you don't have your kids, like I now that I'm older, I do think about that. And and just the fact that she could have been like, well, they decided to go with their dad, like, well, that's on them, but when we went to the system, she was like, no, like I want my children back. So she had to like do all these classes, and a year later they were like, right, you could go back with your mom.
Like we kind of work with this system, working with this population. And a lot of them, especially the males, they talk about going to the foster care system is a really big change. What was it like as a female going to the foster care system? Take us to the day they even took you, because that's.
Well, I remember, they were just like pack, like put your clothes in a bag, and it was like put my clothes in a bag, and there was I remember taking like a little bit of clothes, like. Clothes was scattered everywhere. Like, just took like a few stuff. And my older brother, because he was already 17, like they didn't take him with us because he was already going to be of age. But my two brothers and I, they took us together to the office. And unfortunately, me and my brothers were separated. Oh. So I went to a totally different home and they went to a home. And the home I was at, I could say that the lady had two other children, and like she treated us like slaves, like we were her workers.
Wow, that's powerful right there.
Man, that sucks. I wouldn't have pictured that. You would think those people have some type of vetting process before you even get there.
Like you have to do this, like.
And they were basic chores, or are they like something intense? Like,
yeah, good question.
It was
right, because if it's dishes, okay, but
no,
it was
like,
right.
It was like like you have to wake up, like you have to like go clean outside the yard, go do this. It was like a daily thing, and I was just like she would not treat us right. I was like, I went from like doing practically whatever I want to like going to home, and I'm just like
military school almost sounds like.
Yeah, and. I remember I told the little one of the younger kids, like, why don't you tell your social worker how she treats you? And he kind of was just like, like he was scared. So it was him and his little brother. His little brother was about 1.5 years. And that's when I was like, no, it's not okay. So the little kid didn't want to eat, and I remember her like tying the little kid and like forcing him to eat.
Yeah, you see that right there.
I was like, and I was just like, no, like
legit tying,
him like to the chair, like forcing him to eat. And I was just like in my head, like he's a little kid, and I was 12 years old at that time. I was like, no. So when my social worker came, I was like, like this lady does not treat us right. Like, she literally forces a little kid. She ties him up. Like, she has us doing chores all day. Her kids don't do nothing. Like, do this, do that, clean here, all day. Like, we're literally cleaning. So, the social workers was like, okay, there's going to be an investigation. And she removed us from that home. So, I was there for a month. Luckily, where my brothers were at, all she needed was a bed for me. So, she got me a bed. And
where your brothers were at, though.
Yeah,
man, that's dope.
Yeah, she was like, okay, I'm gonna get her a bed, as soon as that happened, and I was able to like move into my brother's house. So, that was definitely good, for me. Just being able to share that experience with my brothers.
What I was just telling T the other day too, the experiences that a lot of individuals go through, not even 1% of the or 5% of the world will ever go through. And you're part of a number that a lot of individuals don't go through. What are they telling you throughout that whole year? What are they telling you, caseworkers? What are they telling you this whole time? Hey, we're going to find you a family? Or what are they telling you?
So pretty much when your mom does what she has to do,
Yeah.
So what they kept telling you, just wait. Your mom's doing what she has to do. You'll eventually go back to her?
Wait, yeah. It was just a waiting game. On the meantime, they did a lot of therapy. And that was when I was like, I hate therapists.
Why is that? You would think it's backwards,
I
no?
hate therapists. No.
Great point.
I don't know. I just felt like if I really want to tell you how I feel, I'm gonna tell you. Like there's no way you can make me like open up and tell you. You know, and I feel like at that age I was still in like that. Like I don't want to talk. I don't want to tell you anything. I don't want to talk to you. Like, and you know, it's just like having to sit through those sessions for a whole year. It was like, can I color? Like,
I get it.
like,
You're 12 years old.
yeah,
you know,
it's
it's
like
still.
I don't want to open up. I don't want to talk to you. Like, what do you want me to tell you? You know?
Right.
And I just feel like I wasn't in the age or in the stage to like really express myself. Like, what am I feeling? What am I going through?
This is the question I have. Were you? Do you feel like were you afraid to open up, or were you scared to open up? What were you feeling? That just kind of like when you wanted it, maybe you wanted to say it at a point. Like, what were you feeling?
Definitely, I feel that I avoided my feelings. Like I didn't acknowledge them. It was like I was just like going through the motions. Like I didn't want to acknowledge them. You know, like just.
Yeah, no, I get that. I the reason why I asked that because then again, even I've been in a position where I've asked someone and it's like, honestly, I'm scared to tell you, because they're scared of not being accepted, or they're scared of being judged, or in any way like that. Now that's why I ask if that was the case, because you know it's just really trying to understand an individual mindset, especially at a young age like that, is what I'm curious about. But it's a lot of trauma. And it's just it's scary to see, like, you know, the help was there and still it was hard to open up.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine the amount of people out there that are feeling that same way. Do you think if
Definitely.
you opened up, it would have changed things then and there?
Yeah, I believe it would have, you know, like helped me, one, like put it out there, acknowledge it, and like heal. You know,
Right.
but when you already went through some trauma at a very young age. You like experience the street life for a moment. Then like you go to a foster home and it's like you still like I'm strong and I don't feel anything. You know, like so there's definitely, you know, you're bound to like go down the wrong path, and it's kind of what happened with me.
Damn,
Oh,
okay.
that was
that's a
a
setup
good
right
little
there.
setup.
Okay, yeah. I like that.
Oh, little foreshadow. I like that. Hey, what's going on with school this whole time? Like, are you going to school?
Oh, I know. How does
like,
that work? Do you get sent to the local school at
Yeah.
whatever spot they sent you to?
Yeah, I actually lived on, when I was in a foster home, I lived on 41st and Hooper. Which
So
I
real
live
quick, that's way different than Boyle Heights.
Yes,
right?
way different.
Way
like
different.
South Central to Boyle Heights, too different.
why is it different?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I know it's different. but-
One, honestly, Boyle Heights, like, and it's funny because like I share this with my friends and they're like, what? And I tell them. So where I grew up, all you see is Hispanic people and Latino people. That's all you see. Now, of course, it's different. Like you see everyone, like all types of people.
Yeah.
Different ethnicities. But where I grew up, my local schools, like white people maybe 2%.
Yeah.
Black people 1%. Like
Right,
that's
rare.
all you see. It's rare,
Yeah.
you know. So I went from like this type of population and ethnicities to, you know, I moved to South Central and I'm like, you know, it's like different. It's different for me. People talk different. People act different, you know. And I was like, okay, but I feel because I am social and friendly. Like, you know, I was able to make friends
Yeah.
fast.
Great.
You
That's
know,
cool.
I adapted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my foster mom, where I was at, great. She was a great.
At the new spot?
Yes.
Okay, that's
she
good.
Was,
It turned out.
She was a great person. You know, she really took care of us. She really like, you could tell she was one of those foster moms that had the passion, you know, the heart for like really helping out children. Yeah. She
Shout
was
out
like,
to her.
definitely. She says,
Right.
and for many years she would actually go every Christmas and like take us Christmas presents. And she says, you guys were my best kids ever.
That's nice, man.
Yeah.
You said a really big word, and I'm like stuck on it, low key. Adapted. I think coming from Boyle Heights and going to a whole new place like that, I'm pretty sure adapting in that is not easy at all. Because
No.
like you're going from having to really change yourself for everyone else, and that's, you know, you hear it all the time. Don't change yourself for anybody. What was that like, you know, switching over and adapting to that whole new feel?
I mean, at first it was kind of like, I feel that especially coming from like the first foster home, I had to adapt to her, like her rules and like, you know, to then going to another foster home. So it was like, I was kind of like already prepared. I feel like I had already gone through the worst I could.
Yeah.
Being in a foster home.
Okay, that makes
sense.
sense.
So, you know, it was like, this was like a smoother transition for me.
Okay. I could see that. And then friends-wise, too, same thing?
Well, it was a summer. So while I was in the first foster home, like she was like barely enrolling me to school. So I didn't like really get to interact with other people other than the children that were at the house. But once I moved to the other foster home, you know, like I started school, so I made friends. Pretty
Gotcha.
easy.
Okay.
Okay.
How long did that whole thing last to where you were able to like reunite with moms after
So it
that?
took a year.
Okay, a year, and it sucks. I want to say it's not that bad, but it probably was, right? Just being away from your moms, being away from what you
Right.
know, obviously being away from pops now.
Yeah.
It was like, oh man, what did it feel? How did you know that it was about to happen? Like, you know what, they gave her custody again.
Well, like, my mom's always been like a responsible person, you know, like
Okay.
it's kind of like I didn't doubt. Like I knew I knew she had this. So yeah, like it was kind of like, all right, it's just a waiting game, you know.
Who tells you that? The social worker, or does the lady at the house tell you, hey, your
So,
mom's gonna come get you? Or
Yeah, so they do like every court hearing, you know, like, okay, what has mother done? Like, have you completed this? Okay, well, we're gonna, you know, we'll be back in 3 months and we'll see how much you completed then. You know, and it wasn't until she completed everything that they're like, all right, well, this is it.
here you go.
Here you go.
So it was not just you, right? It was you and your brothers, everybody.
Except the oldest one.
Okay, 17, because he stayed at home
Yeah,
with
he
pops.
was already, he was already about to be of age. So
Damn,
Got it.
he got saved by the bell.
he got saved by the bell.
Saved by the bell.
I have a very similar story to that, and that's exactly what I was the oldest, and they just like, all right, everybody else but you, and I was like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, where you're at now, bro, it's a good thing.
Definitely, 100%.
Where you're at, it's a
you
good
know?
thing. So I think give yourself some for sure. Like, you
Right.
know, some of that for sure. You, I'm tripping out because we know your story. They don't know yet.
That's why I'm like,
It's
leading
like,
up to it. I'm
yeah,
like,
it's just
yeah.
like, it seems like positivity has happened, right? What happened after, where did things start going sideways?
Right. So now you're with moms.
Yeah.
Everything should be cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything should be cool. Yeah, you know, it was like I had like, you know, a few good months. I want to say that.
Months? Is that right?
Months.
Oh man.
So I went back on my 13th birthday. Like that was like my birthday present. We went back with my mom on my birthday.
Oh, well, that's
My 13th
nice.
birthday, yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
You know, of course, like I said, mom's always been the strict one. You know, there's rules here. So, you know, went back to the house. You know, I was like, all right, cool. You know, I'm back here. You know, I'm back with my mom. Like, I'm happy. But now I'm just like, ugh. Like, there's rules, you know?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's rules. So it doesn't take that long where after, you know, I'm an 8th grader at this time, you know. I'm in middle school and meet up with my old friends, you know, and
Where they're like, girl, you're back. What's up?
yeah,
We're like,
you know,
well,
and here we go again. You know, I
Oh, no.
started missing school. I started ditching. You know, I started going out to parties, which my mom, she was very like, no. Like, you're a teenager. There's rules in my house. Like, you do not go out late. You have a curfew. And, you know, I tried. You know, I tried to follow the rules, but
we all say that, right? We try.
I tried.
Yeah.
And honestly, it wasn't until I was like, no, like, I felt like you weren't there when I needed you the most. Now this is like, now I'm like an angry teenager. Like, you weren't like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Like, all these years later, like, now you want to tell me what to do. Not happening. Wow. So I was like full blown out of control at 13 years old.
What's considered out of control?
Oh, I'm about to explain.
Yeah.
I like start running away from home. I don't come home for weeks, months. Like, I start running away from home. Also at 13, I was introduced to meth.
At 13 years
At
old, that's fucking
13.
young. Yeah.
Were you already doing any drugs prior to that, like weed or anything like
No.
that? None of that.
No.
Okay.
No, just, I did try alcohol,
Yeah.
That was it. So at
From a
13,
tío, like, hey, prueba. Right.
yeah, it's a norm. But at 13, I get introduced to meth, which I liked. So now it's like me and my girlfriends are at 13 doing meth. And it's a every weekend thing, and every weekend turns into every other day thing. And this is like, now I'm like running away from home. I'm like using, I come home like every other few weeks. My mom puts like police reports, like, she's missing. I don't know where she's at.
Yeah.
Then like I show up and like she knows, she's just like,
Was she familiar with that? Because like, did anybody like
You
your because
know,
of pops? Was she
so,
like, man, I know
so,
something's up right there?
Yeah,
Damn.
this is her favorite thing to say is, you think I'm done? I lived with a drug addict for 15
There you
years.
go.
Right.
There you go.
And it's like, yeah, okay. But once again, like, I'm not listening. I'm like running away from home. So my mom gets so tired of it that she just tells me, you know what, Evelyn? The door is open for you. Like, do whatever you want. Come home whenever you want. Like, she's just like done with me. Like, there's just no way she could control me. So she's just like, at this point, she's just like, just come home. So this is 13, and like her thing is like, don't stop going to school. So now I'm at 14, and it's like, I go to school sometimes, and like I come home. It's like it turned into my life.
Yeah.
To where like I come home sometimes, I don't come home sometimes. I think the longest I did not come home was for like 3 months.
And you never ran into like a cop or nothing during that, where they're like, hey, what are you doing here?
You know what? I always say, like, I don't know if Boyle Heights thing, I don't know, but I remember sometimes I used to run the street at 3 a.m. and like cops used to pass by.
No
Never
question.
once stopped me.
Nothing.
Never once stopped me. A funny story. One of the times I ran away from home, I was with one of my girlfriends and this guy, and he was driving us around in a stolen car.
No.
So I get pulled over. Well, we get pulled over. I literally like, cops are chasing us. Like, there's just like a bunch of cops in back of us. Like, they close the street, the helicopters on top of us. We have pipes in our purses. We have like all types of things, and we're just like trying to like toss it, but we're just like whatever,
Right.
So they get us off the car, and we don't know who this guy is. Like, that was our story, like
Right.
we're just trying to get
my
home,
God. Hey, did homeboy
Yeah.
look back in the seat? Like, what
no,
did y'all
like
just say?
he had already said that.
He
you
knew,
know?
okay,
Like,
you guys- yeah.
you guys don't know me. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just giving you
right.
guys a ride, and we're
Good.
like, yeah.
Respect right there. I mean, honestly,
is,
like
yeah.
hearing that.
So 13, no, I think I was already 14. We're like, we don't know, he was just giving us a ride. Don't even check our purse. Like, we got
Jesus.
so much stuff in there.
Yeah.
Don't even check our purse. Nothing. He's like, it's okay, I'm gonna take you home. And I've been like, I haven't even been home for weeks, and I'm like, no shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're gonna take me home. My mom's gonna tell them.
Right.
I'm like, so then I'm like, what do? I'm taking him to my dad's house.
No.
Because like I said, my dad's like the cool and the lenient one, and he knows
Yeah.
I've been missing. So here, the cop takes me to my dad's house, and he's like, oh, we found her in a stolen car,
Yeah.
like she said that the guy was giving her a ride home. So, just want to make sure that, like, you're the dad, okay? Like,
Yeah.
she's home safe, and leaves.
What'd your dad say? He's like,
Yeah. Well,
he just
My
went with
dad's
it?
like, my dad doesn't even question the officers. Like, he's just like, my dad was just like, all right, cool. Like, all right, thanks. Like, he knows I've been missing for 3 weeks.
Damn.
He's not going to snitch on me, But he's just like, okay, thank you for bringing her, And the cop leaves. He's like, really? You bring a cop to my house? And I'm like, sorry,
yeah.
He's like, where you been? I was like, I was really coming home, Dad, And he's like, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to walk home, bye. And, so he lived at my grandma's house, which is only 5 blocks away from my mom's house. So he's like, all right, I take off again. Don't go back home, But, like, you mentioned the cops, and it's like there was so many situations where like the cop was like face to face with me, and I don't know if it's because I'm a girl or because of the way I look, but like I was 13 years old and you didn't like question what I was doing there.
Yeah.
Like
That's
That's where my
really
mind
think
goes
that?
to, bro. Like, you would think you looked way too young to be doing anything that you're doing now, or even be 3 a.m. Let's figure this shit out. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I guess it's the area, like you said. It could be they're just so used to that. Maybe that culture in that area, kids just they go to the store at 2 a.m. or they whatever. It just depends. I don't know. Yeah.
Wow, and you weren't scared to like get locked up or nothing?
No, and like I think now, like I wasn't scared to walk at 3, 4 in the morning.
Man.
And I'm talking about I walk down the alleys. I walk down like nothing,
And they have like what? How many projects over there in Boyle Heights? Like 3, 4 of them, right?
Yeah, they do have a few, but so I live more like towards I'm like the main streets.
Got you.
But even then, like we have a lot of alleys, like a
Yeah.
lot of alleys, and I would like walk through the alleys
Mm-hmm.
at 3, 4 in the morning, like no care in the world.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I could have like something really could have happened
Right.
to me.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Definitely. So take us to, so you're living this lifestyle. At what point does you're 14 more or less at this point? When do things start escalating or getting shakier where you kind of know maybe I'm eventually going to get busted, or I'm eventually whatever, something's going to happen. Or even if you, because I know sometimes you don't even think about that, right?
So I don't know, like, and this is like now that as I look back, I think like, what was I really thinking? And I just feel that at that age, you think you know everything. Like, there's nothing someone could tell me like I know it
At all, yeah.
Like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And there's like so many stories, so many like situations where like something could have really happened to me. I'm talking about I used to kick it with like gang members, and like how many times I didn't get shot at.
That's
you
what
know,
I
and
want-
it's
yeah.
like me, like I'm not even a gang member, but just because of the type of people I hanged around with, like a lot of times, and I'm just like, and even then, like I didn't like it, didn't even stop to think like, hey, Evelyn, like slow down.
Right.
Yeah.
No, still wanted to keep living that lifestyle. And I don't know if it was, I don't know, the adrenaline that I liked, or,
Yeah.
just like feeling like I was a part of something.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Of course, now I could tell you exactly why I did it, but, it was,
At that time, you
again,
couldn't.
not acknowledging what I was feeling.
Yeah.
That, it's like I try to fill that void with like all these other things, drug parties,
Yeah.
being in the street,
Yeah.
like,
It's a lifestyle. This shit's addicting, It's addicting. You don't know any better. You're inside this little bubble. It's your world. And like you said, most of the time, the worst shit you do or the worst shit gets, it's like, cool. You get to tell your homeboy. You get to tell your homegirl, like, hey, that shit was crazy. We're cool. We did it. We're here, right? It just keeps fucking going. What do you think about that?
yeah, it's a non-stop lifestyle.
Nonstop.
And I was loving it. I was in love with it.
This is kind of like I don't know if it's really a personal question or if it's something I could ask, but I'm going to just ask it. What was it like being a female around a lot of gang members? Because, I mean, you hear a lot of stories like, females have a different role in being, associated. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of those experiences that you had or that you know of other girls that, have had being in that kind of social life or that group?
I mean, well, it just depends the role you want to play.
Uh-huh.
Personally, I was the type of female that I wanted to be friends with everybody, even enemies that were enemies. And like, you kicking it with them? I'm not from nowhere.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, oh, I wanted to be that friendly girl. Like, everyone's my friend.
It's cool. Everybody.
I'm
yeah.
cool with everybody, but some people like did not like that.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you can't kick it with me one day and then like, are you setting us up or what? Type of stuff. And I
Yeah.
would be like,
That's a
what?
lot. Yeah.
Like, no. I did have one of my like closest friends that, you know, she was a gang member. And we would sometimes we wouldn't even be like, oh, we can't, you can't come around with us because we're gonna go kick it with them, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just depends the role you want to play. I was smart enough to never want to be a part of, like, no, like I knew it wasn't for me. I thought it was dumb, yet I kicked it with them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, they're dumb. Like, they fight for territory. Like, you know, I'm like,
gosh.
I'm like, they're dumb. Like, you know, one block is theirs, the next block is not. You know, like, I'm
Yeah.
just like, that's like the dumbest
my
thing.
gosh.
Like, it's really like the street does not belong to you. You know, but it's like, this is like real street
It's
war.
real. Yeah, it's
really
real
is,
war.
yeah.
It's a real battlefield, really. It's so that's interesting. And how hard? So was it hard to stay away? You know, you said you just want to be friends, but was it hard? Like, were you really trying to get dragged in any way, even growing up as you got older?
No, like, I always thought it was dumb, but yet they were all my friends.
Yeah.
No, I was like, no, like I knew that, no, like I just couldn't see myself being a part of something like that. But, you know, yet I'm like,
Pretty crazy,
you know,
I
but I
agree.
think about it, I couldn't see myself being a part of something like that, but yet I was somehow a part of that because I hanged around with them, you know. And even so, like, all right, keep playing, like, I'm a tag, you know, and like I would be there, like, all right, cool, like I got you. Like, I still played a part.
Yeah.
Yeah, low key,
were
you are
basically
playing a
living
part
it.
in
You were
that.
living it.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Like, at least
She was a
you know, at
lookout.
least you had the. It's crazy how if you compare them both, it doesn't make sense. But you know, it's at least you were smart enough to say, you know what, I'm not gonna get jumped in. I'll
No.
play it. I'll live it a little bit. We'll do what we do. But you know, but that's good that you knew that much, like at that age. So it's weird that you in some aspects you knew a lot, and in some of them it was just like it is what it is. You just kept doing what you do.
Yeah,
You know.
I just kept doing, yeah.
Were your brothers involved?
No, none of my brothers, no.
Okay.
They're-
They didn't mess up or nothing. They didn't go down that route.
I mean, you know, they had like their little bumps down the road,
Okay,
but
yeah.
for the most part, I could say that they were good guys.
They stayed away from
Yeah, my mom says like, what your three brothers didn't do to me, you did.
So the little
Damn.
sis is the one that turned out to be the one. huh?
Traviesa, man.
Right.
Okay, you as you got older, there was a lot going on. I want to get to it now.
Yeah.
You know, when it really happened. Because y'all can't even tell. I wouldn't even be able to tell. Like, you are like,
not have-
you're so dope and chill. Like, I'm like, how could this even happen? Take us to the day when you got locked up.
I was like, before that, I do want to say that.
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
I'm like, I finally did stop like the street life
Okay.
when I got pregnant. I got pregnant, I was a teen.
Oh, wow.
What age did you get pregnant?
14. I had my daughter at 15. So
Damn,
by the
young, super young.
So like a month before I turned 15, I got pregnant, and that's when I was like, okay, that's it. Like,
Were you scared? Like, what happened when you found out? ¿Qué pasó?
nothing. It was like, okay, like I'm
what it
pregnant.
is.
So here, like that's
Yeah.
it, you know, like I'm pregnant. And that's when I was like, okay, like no more fucking around, no more, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm having a baby. Like, like I was like, no, I'm not gonna do none of that. And yeah, and I had my daughter at 15, my firstborn. So you know, I kind of like, I was not with her dad. I was like messing around with her dad, but he was not the type of guy that I like saw myself for the rest of my life. So it was kind of like, hey, I got pregnant, but you know.
Was it a dad that you saw your kid being able to be with the rest of their life too? Or no?
I'm saying that again.
Did you think like it was it you, or you were thinking after like looking at the perspective of your child?
It was me. It was totally personal.
Okay.
Okay, I see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and yeah, I was like, no, like, you know, to the point where like I didn't even want to introduce him. Like, very few people in my family actually knew who he was. You know, and I was 15 and pregnant. I had my daughter. 6 months later, I met this guy. You know, I was like, okay, you know, kind of fell in love. And I had 3 kids after that. So,
Wow.
No way.
yeah. So by 19, I had my 4 children.
Wow. Hold on. What?
That is nuts. I didn't know that. That's nuts. Yeah, that's 4 kids at that young age is a lot of kids for somebody that's just came out of a situation where you're trying to figure it out. How do you even begin to process that? Where you barely got a place to stay, you're going from your dad's to your mom's,
Right.
and then now you have a kid. How do you even begin to figure that out?
I don't even think I was thinking.
Damn.
Like,
Yeah.
truthfully, I like I say, like I was just living like one kid, okay, it's like another kid, like okay, another kid, and I'm just like okay, and then finally the fourth one, I was like okay, I don't know if I could do this.
Man,
Like
that part.
the fourth kid, I was like oh damn, like it was when I kind of like started thinking like okay, like slow down, like I don't think I could do this.
Who was supporting you throughout all of this? Because I know you said that even with your mom, you weren't getting that kind of. What happened when your mom found out?
Well,
At least.
the funny thing is I should have not found out till like a month before I gave birth. Like I was like scared
You
to
didn't
tell my
fi-
mom.
Oh,
She saw you though,
man.
right?
So she saw me, but for some reason, my pregnancy, like I rarely show. I was like 8 months and you could barely tell I was pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
And instead of gaining weight, my pregnancies, I lose weight.
Oh man. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so she like didn't even find out until I was about to give birth, and it was like a situation where she's like, well, you're pregnant already, like what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
And the same with my other pregnancies, like I couldn't tell my mom. And she's like, again? And a few months later, like again, because I had my kids all back to back to back. Right now, their ages are 15, 14, 13, and my youngest is going to be 12.
Whoa.
That is nuts. You said
Whoa.
15. I swear you look like you 20, 25. You know what I mean? So 15, that is a big kid to have, man.
That is. I'm like, I have
A boy?
teenagers.
Girl?
Girls. I
Okay.
have 3 girls and 1 boy.
Got you.
Bro, people can't even take care of puppies. Like a one puppy. Yo, she was taking care of 4 kids at 19.
That just shows you had to grow up hella fast.
Right.
Super fast.
Whoa, and dad, how was dad feeling about it all?
Dad
Laid
is
back.
always dad,
Yeah.
So at 19, I ended up leaving my partner.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a whole nother trauma within itself, I was getting emotionally, he was violent emotionally, physically.
Wow.
Like
Abusive, huh?
he's super abusive, and I stood there for 4 years. That's the crazy thing. And like my brothers don't even hit me like that. My dad didn't even put hands on me like that,
Wow.
And yeah.
That's crazy. No one ever said like, hey, that's Evelyn. She got 4 brothers, 3 brothers. Like, don't fuck with her.
You know what? I feel like me and my brothers have always had this thing where we don't get in each other's relationship.
Okay.
Like
Respect
we
that, yeah.
respect each other's relationship. Like we might not like your girlfriend, but like we don't cross that boundary. However, I do remember that every time like he used to like hit me, and I used to be like, I'm leaving you, and I would like call my brother up, like, come pick me up. Like he wouldn't question like why, what.
Yeah.
Like he knew, but he never questioned me like, I'm going right now.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about when I would leave, I would literally like pack all my stuff.
Yeah.
And my brother had a little Honda, 2-door Honda, and I don't know how he would fit everything in there.
Wow.
Like,
That's respect.
he would like, okay, like, come pick me
Yeah.
up with all the kids. And like there I go back to my mom's house. So I always had a room at my mom's house,
Mm-hmm. She said it
I
from the
could-
get-go. Yeah.
I could give her that much, Like no matter what happened, like I always had a room there, and so I would go back to my mom's house, and like a week later I was back with him. And I went like that for many years, back and forth, until it was like I can't do this no more. And I got a little older, and I was like, I still recall that day like it was yesterday. I asked myself, Evelyn, are you happy?
Right.
And I was like, no.
That's crazy that you had the ability. You knew when to draw the line.
Right.
And that was it.
And
huh?
I was like, like, what are you doing here? And I was like, that's it. Packed up my stuff, and I was like, I'm not going back with you. Like, I don't care how much I love you. Nope. Like, you know, that was a realization I had that you can't, like, no matter how much you love a person, you can't change them.
Damn. What was your experience? Why do you feel like you just kept coming back? Was it the kids? Was it what kept drawing you back?
Of course, I would tell you because I was in love with this person.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older and, like, you know, I could go back and connect the dots, and I could tell you exactly how, you know, how it happened. And I feel that this came from, like, seeing my parents, like, seeing my mom, you know, learn behavior. That she's still with my dad for 15 years, and he was like, you know, he was this, he was a drug addict, he was this, he was that, but she still managed to, like, keep it together. Like, you know, you don't, like, you keep your family together no matter what.
Yeah.
So
like, nothing is worth breaking up the household, basically, right?
you know, so it was kind of like I tried, like, doing the same thing, you know, because, you know, I like, now that I'm older, and, like, I ask myself, like, why was I trying to keep it together? Like, you know, and it's like, oh, you know, it was learned behavior, you know, it was like, I learned from a very young age that you try at least to keep it together no matter what.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do, you know, and I was like, eventually he's gonna change. But it's like 4 years later, like,
It's a
Yeah.
long time. Yeah.
I was like, I'm done. And I walked away. Never looked back. But then, you know, it was like,
Oh, the butts.
That's
instead-
that,
The
that part,
butts,
right? I was
bro,
waiting. I was like,
the
where's the
butt.
butt?
but
Yeah.
the butt is, instead of doing better, I did worse. After I left him, me and my best friend got an apartment. So, you know, we were, like, living together, and it was like, cool, you know, like, I have my own house. You know, I'm working. You know, I'm a single mom. Like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
This is a friend that introduced me to meth. So
The same one from 13?
yes,
Oh,
this is still
my
my
God.
friend.
I was gonna say, how is that still your friend at that time?
That's still my friend. So she, like, starts like doing meth again, and I'm just like, I have not done meth since I was like 14. You know, I have all these years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because
The babies and
kids,
stuff. Yeah.
So, you know, I'm living with her, and she's like, and I'm just like, no, like, you know, I can't. But, you know, eventually I start doing it again. Then I start dating this guy, a gang member. You know, and it's like, okay, it's cool. My friend, she, like, ends up, like, she's, like, so high, she just ends up, like, losing it. I don't know, she starts, like, accusing me of, like, doing this and, like, just, like, weird stuff, and I'm just like, what's wrong with her?
Yeah.
So basically, it's fucked up to say it, but the point where you get smoked out, right? Like,
Pretty
you just,
much.
like, you're just walking around like a zombie, fucking doing
And
random
yeah,
shit.
and just, like, and I'm just like, you need to chill out, you know, and she's just, like, tripping. Her mom is actually, like, the owner of the house, and she lives, like, she lives on top of us. So we live in the bottom house. And her mom's, like, one of those scandalous ladies. She called social services on us.
Damn,
What?
man.
Yeah. So at 2 a.m, I had social services knocking on the door. Like, and we're all high as a kite. You know, and I'm just like, shit.
Around the babies too.
And homegirl was there too?
Yeah, she was there too.
Oh, man. And you said you
So
could tell,
my
right, with her?
Yeah, my babies are, like, asleep, you know.
Okay.
So they come and they're like, so that you guys are selling drugs here, that, you know, you guys are not feeding the kids, that you guys hit the kids. And I'm just like, no. So they wake up all my kids. They, like, get them butt naked to check them.
Bruises
thing,
for
man.
bruises and
What?
stuff
Yes,
like that.
to see if they have bruises, scratches, anything, you know.
Wow.
Because those are the allegations. And so there's like, my kids don't have anything, but I'm just like in my head, all I could think of is no, like this is not happening and it's not gonna happen. So in order for me to like get them off my back, I'm like, I'm gone from here. I go back to my mom's house. Like, so social worker comes back, I don't live there anymore.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't live there no more. I live here. So where are the allegations? Drop the case.
Wow. That just like that.
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm like, that was smart, because if I would have stood there, I feel like I would have like gone through like just trying to prove myself. So me removing me from the place just totally was like, okay, cool.
You low-key would have gotten exactly what you went through, basically.
Exactly, yes. And that is one thing I was like, no, like my kids know, like they cannot go through what I went through. Like, no, not happening.
And I kind of want to touch on that. Speaking of your kids, because having when you really think about it, I'm looking at it out of perspective. Having someone come to your door and then telling you take off your clothes right then and there as a kid, you don't know what's going on. They're telling you to do that, and they're checking you.
Wake up. Yeah.
How do your kids feel about that? Like, have you ever spoken to your kids about that?
Honestly,
Do they remember?
They don't remember a lot. Like the one that remembers a little more is my oldest, but even then there's like, and I don't know if it's because, sometimes when you go through trauma, like it's like you get like, you have a memory loss that you don't remember until like you actually like start like either going to therapy or something, that you kind of like start like, oh, I do remember this, but like they don't remember like nothing.
Well, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, there's like very few things that they recall. Very few.
Wow.
So
okay.
I'm just like, I don't even know if it's a blessing or not.
Right. And yeah, that's what you really got to ask yourself, huh? Is it really like a blessing or not? Okay, so after that, you got away from something really big.
Yes.
And thank God you did, honestly. What happened next?
I'm still dating this guy, right? So I go back to my mom's house. And I'm like, I'm still dating this guy that he's no good. Like, he just wants to be out in the street, getting high. And, I have my kids. So when I manage to leave, to get a babysitter, I'm like out in the streets with him. But, then back home. And I stopped talking to him. I'm just like, okay, this guy's no good for me. Like, I have to stop talking to him.
Yeah.
So I stopped talking to him. For like 6 months. I'm still like messing around here and there, but I'm not out there in the street like that. 6 months later, comes back into my life. And here I go again, all over again. So my dad is actually like my babysitter. So
Damn, it's good and it's bad because it enables you. But again, it's a blessing because if you really needed to go to work, I'm sure he would have taken care of him. Yeah.
Right.
So my dad was the type of guy that said, you're young, Evelyn, and I want you to live your life. So go out and party. Like, leave the kids here with me. Like, who's your babysitter? All my friends. I'm like, my dad. And I'd be like, yeah, it's like my mom. No, not happening. I'm leaving no kid here. So, I was messing around, doing the back and forth thing with this guy. And that's how I got caught up. So he had a friend. I don't know where he met this guy. Had no idea.
Yeah.
But I know that they were talking about like doing something, I can't tell you exactly what they were going to do because like,
They didn't tell you. Probably,
not only that they didn't tell me, I just feel like because I've been around, that type of lifestyle that I don't question it and I don't care. Like, like I don't care what you guys are going to do or what you guys are not going to do. But I know that they were talking about kidnapping someone. I didn't know that. It was just like, whatever.
That's a big whatever. Like,
yeah, it was like,
That's
but,
huge.
no
But
way
I
to
get
even
it.
think it that way.
Yeah.
Like,
once again, where I grew up from or
Yeah.
where I come from, it's like, one, you don't question it. And, to me, it was like, well, I'm not doing it. I don't care. Like,
Yeah,
fucking
right.
occurs,
that's their thing,
yeah, okay.
So So the day comes. I guess they're gonna do something. I was with them that morning, and I remember I said, "All right, well, they were gonna go do what they were gonna do." I was just like, "All right, you guys have a good one. You know, see you later." I'm calling my best friend to see if she wants to have breakfast with me. She's not answering. I'm just like, "Wow, what do I do?" And I did not have my kids with me.
So you were looking for
So
something.
I
to
was
get
looking
into,
for
huh?
something to do,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I was like, what do I do, you know? So I was like, I'm just gonna drive back home. So as I'm driving back home, he starts calling me, like he's blowing up my phone, and I'm like, what happened? And he's like, I need you to come over here right now. And I'm like, where? He's like just come fast. I need you to give me a ride. I'm just like, all right, here I go.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's a usual phone call, probably, right?
Like, oh yes, he was the type of guy that I'm stranded. Can you come pick me up?
Okay.
Like he was that type of guy. Like I need a ride, Evelyn. Like in the middle of the night. So here I go get him. He tells me, all right. He's like, this car's gonna come out right now. Just follow the car, you know. And I'm just like, all right, cool. I'm following this car. This car gets into the bank.
The car in the front?
The car in the front gets into the
Okay.
bank, so he gets into the bank. Right?
What time is it?
This already sounded
This
like a
is
movie.
this is like around 11 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So the guy pulls in the bank and he's like, yeah, just like pull next to him. So his friend's with me in the car, and then as you know, like they're waiting, he tells me it's because what happened was that the guy that was gonna give us a ride ended up like ranking out on us. He didn't want to give us a ride. So, you know, that's why I had to call you. And then all I hear is his other friend, like, I told you shouldn't have called her. You should have called someone else. And they're like just going back and forth.
Yeah.
The guy comes out. He's about to get in his car. And my boyfriend at that time and his friend get off the car. So one of them, like, you know, like pulls out the gun and like tells him, like, don't fucking move. Don't say anything. Blah, 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 you know, whatever the hell. I can't tell you exactly what he was telling him because I was in the car.
Yeah.
Whatever, they get him in his car, they drive off. And I'm just like, all right, bye. And I take off, you know? And it's crazy because I still recall when I was like taking off to go my own way, thinking like, imagine I get caught for giving these guys a ride. You know, and
Imagine, huh?
imagine.
Yeah.
I think this, like, imagine I get caught for, and I said, wow, I didn't do it. Like, I didn't do anything, you know, because in reality, I didn't do anything. Like, I just dropped you guys off. This is what I'm thinking. Like, I'm like, well, I didn't do anything anyways. Like, I didn't commit the crime.
Right. I'm tripping out right now because what I'm starting to see is this pattern where it's like, yo, the homegirl is just like, you know, she's a lookout. She's just a helper, and she's just there. But to you, it was just, you were so comfortable, like, that happened. It's like, all right, I'm going to drive off.
Yeah. It's
That's
like,
it. Like another
Like-
day, another.
Or the way you rationalized it was,
Yeah.
I mean, technically you're right to think that way. I mean, fuck it. Whatever. I kind of heard whatever, but I'm just fucking giving him a ride. This dude does this shit all the time, whatever,
it's-
right? You didn't think
yeah.
too deep into it. I mean, I know what that is now. There's a specific charge for that, you know what I mean? But that's
There sure
in
is.
retrospect, yeah.
I'm like, there sure is. You know,
Okay.
and just the fact that I thought, like, this is how I lived my life for so many years, where I just, like, I had no real, like, no sense of the consequences. Like it was just a norm in my life.
Yeah.
Like, this is what it is. Like, okay.
Like, how many times have your interactions with the cops led to nothing? And you were doing some shit and they're just, right?
Right.
A lot of times.
So you're like, all right, this is another one, nothing,
Yeah.
whatever. What can possibly go wrong?
You know, I go on my way. Later on, they're like, oh yeah, you know, like, so later on, of course, I do find out more. Like, so apparently this guy's a paisa and they're like charging him, like they want to, you know, they're charging him taxes and blah, blah, blah. You know, there's like a big story behind it. I'm just like, okay, whatever, who cares?
You find that after?
After, you know,
Okay.
like they do tell me
Yeah.
the story. So, the paisa friend, because he doesn't speak English.
And I was going to say real quick, and paisa, for those
that
who
don't know.
don't know, is just basically a Hispanic, a native-born Mexican Hispanic basically. You don't know
I'm glad you
English,
clarified that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So.
And it's funny I call him this because that's literally what he called him. So
That's
I'm
how
like,
that's the
you know,
normal,
that's so it's
yeah.
just like I'm just like really calling him what like that's what he was called in the
Yeah.
group. He asked me, hey, you know, by any chance, do you have a friend that could go pick something up for me? And I'm like, yeah, you know, like I have a lot of friends.
Fuck, man.
She said, I have a lot of
I
friends.
have a lot of friends, you know. So I'm calling one of my friends, and she's like, you know, I'm at work right now, but when I come out of work, like I could help you. And she's like, we don't have to do it. And I was all like, so he wants you to pick something up for him, you know, like I kind of tell her. And you know, this is one of my friends that again we grew up in the same area, so she's like, okay, sure, like I'll go pick it up. He's like, I need it like right now, like we can't wait for her. And I'm like, I'll go pick it up for you. And he's like, no. He tells me, no, I don't want you to go pick it up. I'm like, so do you want it to get picked up or not?
Or not.
Like, I'll pick it up for you.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. He's like,
damn.
so,
man. That easy,
and this is really what really got me into trouble, picking up whatever I picked up. The guy they kidnapped, they wanted his car. So they told him to call his wife and tell his wife that she had to give up the pink slip. So this is what I picked up. I went to go pick up the pink slip
oh my
from
God.
the guy's wife.
After making a call like that, I can imagine the fucking SWAT team was there or something. Jesus.
No, and once again, like, I'm not doing like anything, like, right? This is what I'm thinking. Like, once again, you know, I'm just like blah blah
She's
blah.
not doing anything.
Like once again, I'm thinking like, oh, whatever, you know.
That's what it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just
like-
going. Yeah.
Meet up with the lady. She's outside. I'm like, hi, how are you doing? She's like, good. And it's like, is she really doing good? Like her husband's kidnapped. Like, you know.
Oh my God.
She's like, here you go.
nuts.
She hands me the pink slip. And I take off. There's a pink slip. The next day, my boyfriend, we had bailed him out a week prior to him committing the crime, and he hadn't gone to report to the bail bonds. So the bail bonds were looking for him. So when he went to go report, they took him back to jail. Right the next day. So when they're
Damn.
taking him to jail, the guy that was kidnapped escaped from the place, wherever they had him.
What?
Okay, yes.
I hate to ask this, but he was like tied up and everything.
Yes, apparently, yes. He
Damn,
was tied up.
okay.
He got like pistol whipped a few times.
Jesus. Okay, so the real deal, the shit you see in movies, basically.
Yes,
Okay.
and so apparently they were like not good kidnappers because the guy escaped. I don't know who was in charge of looking at.
I just picture some dude taped up in the middle of the street waiting for somebody to drive by. You know what I mean? Man, sucks. I apologize. That's the vision
No.
that I have in my head.
and
you know
this
what
is
I mean?
and he's kidnapped in Boyle Heights. You know,
Oh, man.
this
People
guy
probably
escaped.
just drove by like, let that crazy fool figure it out, not knowing. Yeah.
He escaped. He called the cops. Here comes the cops. You know, like, and the house where he was kidnapped, it was older people's house. I don't know. They got the guy. So now my boyfriend is locked up. And it's just me and his friend. His friend's like,
But he's locked up for the bail bonds at
Yes.
this point. Nothing related to this.
related
Okay.
to the crime. So he tells me, hey, Evelyn, like, you know, the guy, like, he, like, called the cops and everything, so you can't go back to your house.
No.
And I'm like, but why? I didn't do anything, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you can't go back to your house. Like, for us, you can't go back to your house. Like, come on, like.
And the kids are there, right?
And
Like,
by this time, yes,
Oh,
I have
man,
my
the
kid.
kids.
Yeah.
So he tells me, I'm going to rent you a Momo for you and your kids. Like, just stay there, you know. Like, don't go to your house. Don't drive by there. Don't nothing. Like, don't even. I'm just like, in my head, I'm thinking, like, dude, it's not this serious. You know, like, really, it's not that serious. So I stay in the Momo, whatever. But as time goes by, you know, like, of course, he goes and checks up on me. He's, like, in the same hotel, but he's, like, in another room. And he tells me, like, hey, Evelyn, like, seriously, I think you should consider, like, going to, like, another state. And I'm thinking, like, dude, it's not that serious. And he's like, no, I really think we should go to another state. January 15, 2013. It's my mom's birthday. She's turning 50. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I have to go back home. Like, I cannot miss my mom's birthday. So he's like, I call my mom. Like, I haven't been home, and I'm like, hey, mom, like, I'm going over. She's like, okay, we're going to go eat at a restaurant because that's when I celebrate my birthday. So early in the morning, I'm driving home. My kids are in the back. And guess who gets pulled over?
Out of nowhere?
No.
Yes.
Like not for like
Yeah,
no
not
turn,
yeah.
no
Traffic
nothing.
violation or like.
Detectives.
Wow.
What were you thinking at that moment? Did you say, "Fuck"? He
No,
told me what he
I'm
told
just
me.
like, what did I do?
Oh snap! Still,
I'm still like, what did I do? Like, you pull over,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, all right, like they're like acting kind of like sus, but they're acting kind of like not like.
Yeah, not aggressive.
Like, all right,
Yeah.
like, you don't have to walk with us, blah blah blah. Like, they take me down to the police station. Well, they actually didn't take me to the police station. They take me to like the big one in downtown LA. Like, this is serious. And it's when everything's like, oh damn, like it's starting to click.
Yeah.
They take me and all my kids down to the station.
And your mom too.
No.
Oh no, never mind. Your mom was not in the car. I'm tripping.
But so when I was about to drive home, I had the guy in my car because I was about to drop him off so I could go home. So he was in the car with me.
So they fucking smiled probably, and they're like, "Oh shit, we got him right here."
We got him, yes, pretty much.
Damn.
They take me down to the interrogation room. Like, my kids are there too.
Oh, yeah.
What are you thinking? Are you thinking more about yourself, or are you thinking more about the kids at this time? Do you feel like?
Honestly, once again, I'm just like, all right, like, it's like my extreme mentality kicks in. I know what this is. I'm about to get interrogated. What did you do? And I could honestly tell you that my mind was like, if I grew up in the streets, it's a street code that you don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in my head, I'm just like, I wonder what they're gonna tell me, and and what I'm gonna tell them back, because one, I didn't do anything and I don't know anything. So of course they come, and it's funny how they started with, when is your mom's birthday? No, what's your mom's name? Like, how many brothers do you have? What's your mom's name? What's your mom's birthday? What's your brother's birthday? Like, they're asking me like all these like random ass questions. Right?
Yeah.
And like I'm answering them. So then they hit me with okay, so it seems like you have a very good memory.
Oh man.
They hit me with that one, and I'm just like, so what did you do on January 9th at this time? They're giving me like the date and the time. And I'm like, oh, I remember I woke up, I went to my sister-in-law's house, like I'm like just saying like what I would do on her,
Yeah.
Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm positive.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure? And I'm like, I'm positive. So that's what I did. And then he's like, wow, how funny, because your friend over here already told us what you were doing that day.
Damn.
And I'm like, well, I
That's
don't know
him,
what
yeah.
he told you, but I know what I did. And so then they hit me with, we got you on camera. And I'm
Still
thinking in my
nothing?
head, like, they probably do got you on camera.
Oh my god.
So then I tell them, well, then if you have me on camera, then why are you asking me?
Hey. Okay.
If you know what I did. So they're like, and so nice guy is like, I'm done being nice guy. And the bad guy's like, you know what? I still remember that they gave me a water bottle. And then he finally gets mad because he's like asking me like all these questions, and they ask me like who's your boyfriend? Like, what was he doing? And mind you, they do tell me everything I did. They told me. And
The cops.
Like
cops
step by
told me.
step almost.
step by step, everything I
Damn.
did, So now I'm thinking like, there's only
shit.
2 persons that were in the car with me.
No man. No. Yeah.
And I know it's not this guy because they haven't even gone to this guy's room. Straight up. I'm just like, okay. I'm like thinking in my head, like, what the hell? And I'm still like, I don't know what you're talking about. So then the mean guy's like, you know what? Like, why are you covering up for these guys?
Mm-hmm.
You know that you're not going home tonight. Like, you're not walking out of here anymore. And I remember in that moment, it's like, it clicked, like, damn, I'm really not, like, going home anymore.
That's the worst feeling
Yeah.
ever, huh?
So, yeah, I told him, you know what? I was like, you're right. I'm not going home anymore, so I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know nothing. You know, I'm just like, I'm not going home anymore.
Damn.
Like, he's damn right. You just hit me with, I'm not going home. So why am I going to tell you something? I'm not going home. It's not like if I tell you something, you're going to let me go home. I'm not going home. So I don't know anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're smart, bro.
And they're like, all right.
I mean, yeah, smart, weathered, you know.
Yeah.
And they leave me alone. Don't ask me any more questions.
I'm sure they threw out the kids. We'll take your kids away.
Right.
So they're like, we're calling social services. You know, they did tell me that. And I'm just like, ugh, you know. But all I'm thinking is, I kind of knew. I didn't know. But I had told, at that time, my baby daddy was staying in Las Vegas. So I had called him and I, like that day, like days, like maybe like 2 days before, a day before, I called him and I told him like, hey, you need to come down to LA and pick up the kids. And he was like, what, why? And I was like, don't ask any questions, just come down. So he was like already like kind of like knew something, but I didn't like tell him anything. After so many hours of waiting in the interrogation room, the social services shows up and comes and sits down with me. She's like, well, you do know that, you know, like, we're removing your kids. Like, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, however, we would try to place them first with your family. So is there like any persons you want me to call? You know, so I tell her, my oldest daughter, because she has a different dad than my 3 young ones, I'm like, call my brothers, like one, like any of my brothers would get her. My 3 young ones, the dad, call the dad, he'll get them.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, you know, this is a process, you know, I just want to let you know. And I'm just like, yes, I understand. They, you know, they step out. So the officers come back in and they're like, okay, they're taking your kids already. You have 5 minutes to say bye to them.
Wow.
And that's probably like
Yeah.
the hardest thing. Like every time I think about it, I'm just like, I really do not know how I did it. You know, I seen them, they came in and I'm like, and I kid you not, like just, I'm like crying silently, but like tears are just like coming down my face. And, you know, like, it's like I have a show there, you know, the detectives are there, the social workers. And all I could think in my head was, this is the only time you guys are going to see me break down. The only time. And, you know, I say goodbye to my children. My oldest daughter, I will never forget. You know, she came, she hugged me, and she's like smiling, you know. And it's like she knows, but she's smiling. And when she hugs me, she tells me in my ear, it's okay, Mom, everything's going to be okay. And I'm just like, my baby, she was the only one I said I didn't care, you know, I carried her all the time. So she was like a super mama's girl. Like I would be cooking and she'll be here, you know, because she always wanted to be right here.
Yeah.
So I would carry her. Yeah, when, you know, like she was crying as soon as she seen me, she like wanted to come. She was only 1 year and 10 months. So, you know, like one of my hands was like chained to the table and, you know, they let this hand free. So I'm like holding her and she's like crying, she's bawling out of control. And I'm just like, you know, it's okay. So, you know, they're like, all right, it's time to say goodbye. They're pulling literally my baby out of my arms. She's like bawling, screaming, like, Mom, you know, and she's just like, you know, they're like, she was kicking, crying, take her out the room. And, you know, I still remember as she's leaving, like, I'm just like, ugh. You know, I'm like, I wipe my tears and I'm just like, that's it. You know, done. I'm like, the only time you guys see me break down.
Wow.
And that's where, you know, my prison term started. I went to the glass house for about 3 days. I've never been incarcerated. Never, you know, like, although I had this, like, lifestyle, I never stepped in a jail cell, never, Never nothing.
Yeah.
Didn't even ever get a ticket. I go to my first hearing, and the social worker was there. She went to my first hearing, which I found strange, but she's like, I just wanted to tell you that your kids, the father's picking up your 3 kids, and I don't know who to give your oldest daughter to. Because both of my brothers said that they would take her.
Okay.
She's like, your older brother or the second oldest? And I said, she's like, you have to pick. And I told her, you could pick for me. I'm like, I know my daughter's gonna be fine, either or. She's like, okay. And the other thing I wanted to tell you that I spoke to, like family members and friends, and they all said that you're a good mother. So your case has nothing to do with with like child services.
How you're raising the kids.
That's
okay.
So she's like, so we're not opening a case. And I was just like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
She's like, we're not opening no charges. We're not opening a case. Like, as soon as they go, like, this is closed, And I remember I asked her, so what happens when I get out? Like, do I have to go to court and fight for my children? She's like, nope. She's like, you're not losing custody or anything. She's like, your children are your children. When you come out, she's like, unless the father wants to give you a hard time, then.
Or like custody battle or something? Okay.
But she said, no, like, you're not losing your children. You're not in here because of them. It's separate. So that was that. So, yeah, I was like, I think that was, like, my main thing. Like, I'm going to lose my children. I'm going to, like, like, just lose my parental rights. Like, thinking about going down that road was like, how am I going to do that?
And you knew that road better than anybody.
Yeah.
Yes. So when I went to my first hearing, they're like hitting me with like 25 to life.
What was the charge? Was it aiding and abetting? That's what I assumed it was.
Kidnap.
Oh my God, they hit you with that.
It was they charging me for a kidnap. They were charging me for like robbery with a gun.
What?
It was like I'm just like my bill was $1 million.
Yeah, that's a real crime. Yeah.
What happened when you first found out? Like when they first told you what you were like, how did you feel, or what happened when they first told you?
I was just like no way, like no, there's just no way.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even do it. Like there's just no way. When they first took me to the to the little room where like you have to wait for like the bus to pick you up, I remember the phones were free. I called my best friend, and she's like, "What happened?" And I'm just like, like they got me. I tell her, and she's like, "What?" And she like starts bawling, and I'm like, "Calm down, it's gonna be okay," And I told her, the most they could give me is like 5 years. I'm like still thinking like, how much time am I gonna do for this? I'm like, oh, the most they could give me is like 5 years. Like,
and even that's a lot. You saying that, and it sounds like even 5, you would have taken it well.
Yes.
But that takes a lot of fucking like brain power to process that. That's still a long time. Even if they would have gave you 5, that would have been
I was just gonna like calm down. She's like bawling out of control on the phone. I'm just like, calm down. It's gonna be okay. And she's like, oh my gosh, instead of me like comforting you, you're comforting me. I'm just like, it's gonna be okay.
Right.
So then finally, I go to, so every hearing is like either every month or every 2 months. And well, it's looking like they want to give me like 25 to life at the beginning. And I'm just like, they're crazy. Like, that's all I could think, crazy, 25. Like, I didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
So now I'm like in county jail, and I'm just like, what the hell is this?
Right.
20 years old.
At 20 years old.
And yeah, luckily, I remember the first nights, like you have to go through reception, and it's like, there's like a bunch of girls, and some of them you could tell are like super high, and they're just like kicking, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like what's going on here?
This shit is horrible, huh?
So this is a whole new, so I understand, is this like a whole new building, or where is this like a different level in like county jails, or like where's this at where the females go?
So they take us to Linwood. That's like the girls' jail. So you go through reception, and reception takes like until like they see like where they're gonna locate you. Like I think depending on like what you're looking at or what your charges are at is where they're gonna like locate you. But you go through reception, and reception's like 3 days. You know, you're like in this dorm living. So there's like little rooms, but there's like 2. So they're called pods, and it's 2 people to a room.
Right.
They like open the doors and like, all right, you can shower. You have like certain amount of time. Like I'm talking about 5-10 minutes to take a shower. And I'm just like, I remember like, okay, I have to take a shower. And I'm like, you know, and it's like, you have to like push cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot. And I was like, whatever. Like, I just want to take a shower at this point. Like, I don't even care.
Yeah.
And then they finally like, okay, come on. Like after like 2 days, they like take you to where you're going to live permanently until, you know. So I still remember they took me to 3300, and that's like, they called it the mini high power. So it's like girls that are looking at a lot of time.
Yeah.
So it's like high power, and then it's like mini high power. I got placed in a room with like an older lady, which was super cool because she was like super nice and super, she was empathetic, you know, like, it's okay, this is how it works, and this is how you shop. You know, like, I don't know. There's
girls
like
are
these kiosks.
The whole world behind there,
a whole
right?
new world, you know, that I have to, again, adapt to. And this is what you do, and this is how, you know, like, you got to tell people to put money on your books. And I'm just like, okay, you know. After I get there, 2 days later, they're like, Velador, because that's how, you know, that's my last name. And once you get locked up, you do not have a first name. Your name is your last name, Velador. Velador, you have a visit. I'm just like who came to visit me? Like, I didn't inform none of my family. You know? I go out, my brother's there.
Which one?
The second to the oldest, so that's Omar. The oldest is Frankie, then it's Omar. And I'm just like, you know, so he's like, what happened?
Oh, man.
And I'm just like nothing, you know. He's like, what the hell? And I'm just like, I know. So he's like, he starts bawling, and I'm just like, I'm like, don't do this. I'm like, don't do this, like, don't. And he's just like starts bawling, and he's like, what do you need? You need a lawyer? And I'm just like, he's like, I'm gonna get you a lawyer, and I'm just like, I don't care, like. And he's bawling. He's like, I'm gonna put money in your books, you know. And I'm just like, oh, cool, you know about that. You know, because none of my family been to jail, prison.
Oh, okay, and that's different. So you're the first. You really are the first to.
My dad had like a few encounters, but never like nothing serious.
Like
so
real
they don't
time.
really know, you know.
Yeah.
What it is, yeah.
And he's like, you know, I'm gonna do whatever I can. Of course, you know, visits are only 30 minutes. I leave, and then that's when I start like really fighting my case. So every month, you know, I have to go. And when I went to preliminary, my brother did get me a pay lawyer.
Good.
He was able to drop the gun charge because the lady, when I went to go pick up the pink slip, said that I went with a gun, asking for the pink slip. And my lawyer's like, you have to be honest with me, Evelyn. Did you or did you not have a gun? And I'm like, I did not have a gun. And I explained to him, like, I was wearing sweats and I was wearing a tight sweater. There's no way in how I had a gun. Like, if I had a gun, like, my sweaters are, like, super small. And they're like, he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm positive I did not have a gun. Like, I wouldn't lie to you. So when she got on the stand, she said, like, 3 different types of story. She said that I had jeans.
Oh, my God.
Then she said, like, and then she said that she seen this much. And then she was saying that she seen this much. So my lawyer was like, so what is it? Did she or did she not? And she was like, I'm 100% sure she had a gun. And in my head, I'm just like, why are you lying? Like, you know, what's the whole point? I understand your husband, you know, got kidnapped, but I didn't have nothing to do with it. Like, it really wasn't me. So they ended up dropping that charge. The judge was like, DA, I'm sure you're going to agree with me. Like, I'm dropping it. So the DA was like, yeah, cool.
That's some type of love, you know? Because what would have been that 10 years, extra 10 years or some bullshit like that?
So here's a funny thing though. After fighting, so I had to pay lawyer, but then once we hit preliminary, like he pretty much told my brother, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna charge you another 10,000 because what I could do for her, it's the same thing a public defender could do for her. Like you're just wasting your money at this
I was
point.
gonna say, and that's basically saying you're gonna do time anyway. So at
Yes,
this point,
that's pretty much what.
Yeah.
So here's the funny thing I didn't tell you guys. My boyfriend at that time did not get charged with.
No.
And it's
He
funny
didn't-
that you're getting charged with everything.
He didn't
huh?
get charged. He wasn't even a part of my case. So they took him to line up and nobody could point him out when he's the one who did like the whole crime.
That's fucking sad.
How does that even happen? What? So it was.
Did he tell or what the hell?
I mean, there's no paperwork. And, you know, like sometimes I'm just like, I know how the system works. Like if you're an informant, there's going to be no trace of you. Like, this is what I think. How did you know what happened? Like, how did the detective tell me everything I did? But yet there's there's only 2 people that were there. And I mean, you know, this is just like my hypothesis, my theory that when the guys said, when they went to that house and who was here and who kidnapped the guy, the only guy they knew was you. And when they looked up your name, where were you? In jail. So who did they get to first?
Got you.
And how did they find me?
And even if that wasn't the case, him supposed to have love for you and knowing that you already have 4 kids, like goddamn, you know, like man up, do what you do, whatever.
So
I mean, I get it. It's a grimy life. That's why we're supposed to stay the fuck out of it, you know.
And that's pretty much what my lawyer told me. He said, I'm sorry to tell you, but unfortunately, if this guy comes and, you know, he says what he did, they will let you out. He's like, because you were not the problem and you're not the problem. You were just like one of the fishes in the sea. Like, unfortunately, you got caught up in this big old thing, but you have nothing to do with it. If this guy comes and like says he did what he did, he's like, you could go home. But unfortunately, because that's not gonna happen, he said, it's you and your co-defendant, and somebody has to go down for the crime. So you're looking at a lot of time. And I was just like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. And he even told me like,
damn.
You don't want to tell? And I'm just like, what difference is it gonna make if I tell? Like,
Yeah, it's a tough
Well,
spot.
I'm
to
not
be in all the
gonna.
way
I
around.
mean, when you say what difference, I'm thinking like, yo, like you won't get time, but
no, like at this point, because he went to line up and they didn't point him out, it was pretty much like, what can I say? Not only that, my co-defendant actually said, you know what, like she didn't have nothing to do with it.
Oh, did he really?
Like he actually like said she didn't have nothing to do with it. You know, she did give us a ride, but didn't know what was gonna happen. So just the simple fact that they knew I gave them a ride was like,
no, that's it.
nah, she knew what was gonna happen. She went to go pick up the pink slip. She was a part of the plan this whole time. And so then you think about like the facts versus the truth.
Right.
The facts are gonna show that I was definitely a part of it. The truth, I really wasn't. But when you take it to court and it's like, we have this evidence. It's
Yeah.
like,
To people that don't know you, don't know nothing.
she's guilty.
Right.
Yeah.
I was definitely guilty. It's like, no way am I gonna take it to trial. No way. Like, you know, I was just tired. 2 years of fighting my case. I was just to the point where like, please just like give me whatever you're gonna give me. 15 years, 2 strikes.
For a deal? That's the first deal?
That was the first and only deal they gave me.
All right, so you took the 15 with 2 strikes. That was the end result of that, huh? How'd you, what did you even know what the strikes were at the time? Like what that meant? Like 3 strikes you're out type, you know?
So I knew that pretty much once I would get home, I was walking in the thin line. 3 strikes, you know,
Yeah.
you're out. And I just feel that after waiting for such a long time, for me, it was like, just give me something already. Like, I'm tired of going to court every month. Just give me something.
Right. Having to get, what time do they wake you up over there? Like 2, 3 in the
So
morning?
they'll wake you up like around 3:30 to 4 just to go to court.
Just to go to court.
In the morning?
In the
Yeah.
morning.
Damn,
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was like that.
Yeah.
What court were you going to? CCB?
Yes,
Yeah.
CCB.
And I tell people CCB is kind of like, it's a notorious court, but then again, it's like a 50-50. A lot of people, right? Don't they tell you, you're going to get love out of CCB as opposed to Torrance or Norwalk or, you know. But for a lot of people, it shit don't work out that way. But CCB is like one of those famous courts that people fucking just...
Wow, it is also the biggest court in Los Angeles County.
That's why. There we go.
The biggest. We have about 15 stories.
At CCB, right? Yeah. I never went to CCB. They used to bus us. You know, when you do when you go out to court and they pick everybody up, you'll stop by at their different courts.
Yes.
And we went underneath and everything when they opened the gates.
And and right now that you're saying that, so a lot of girls were like, yeah, this is, they're going to court, and they would be happy because they get to ride in the bus with guys. However, CCB is the only bus that only takes you to, because there is so big and there's so many girls that go, there's no guys that go on our bus. We go straight from jail to court and from court to jail. I was like,
is that many girls that really
Yes.
y'all take a whole bus? Damn.
I wouldn't have pictured it that way, but I guess Linwood is packed too, right?
yes.
So like fucking 2-day processing, people sleeping on the floor, on a phone book and shit, trying to get a bunk or something.
Yeah, sometimes
Damn.
it's like that, but I feel now they're a little better with that. But yeah, they're just packed. Super packed.
Man, okay, so you take these 15. Where do you go to reception, or how do you catch the chain? How does that whole thing work?
So then you have to wait. It's, I don't know, it's this thing where you're like, oh, I'm a 1, I'm a 2, and once you turn a 3, it means that you're gonna get shipped to prison already. And honestly, I recall a lot of the girls telling me like, they make prison like this scary thing, but then they also tell you, prison is so much better than jail. Prison is so much better than county, And I would always be like, I'd rather do my time in county. Then again, I already had 2 years there. So it's kind of like, I'm already familiarized with, how it works, how, you program. And county is pretty hard because where I was at, we would get lucky if they would pull us out for an hour. Like make your phone calls and shower. We would be lucky.
It's not a dorm living? It was cell living?
It was cell living.
Oh, okay.
It was cell living, and so I think there's 24. So there's about 48 rooms.
That's a lot of fucking rooms.
And there's 2 girls, so it's the bottom tier and the top tier. And so they program like a tier at a time. So, sometimes you better run to that shower if you want to get a shower and make line, because it could get shut down at any time.
Yeah.
Like program, you mean?
Yep.
TV, the shower, everything?
So, and my thing was like, take a shower. Like, take a shower.
Yeah.
Like, that was the thing. You're going to run to the showers. Yeah. So I was literally locked in a cell for 23 hours.
Damn.
For 2 years.
Okay. So prison was already like, all right, yeah, you just wanted to stay there because you were used to it, but you already heard better food, you can order big packages.
It's so much better.
Yeah.
You're going to love it over there. And I'm just like, and and then I would hear like the scary stories. Like people would be like, no, like prison, like there's so many mean girls. Like the lifers are so mean. And like you just hear all these crazy stories. And a lot of people would be like, but you know what? You're pretty cool. Like you'll survive in there.
He'll be all right.
Damn, to
I don't
hear
know how I would
that.
take that. I was like, yeah, how do I
And-
even...
I'll survive.
So I'm 22 now, like going to prison. You go to Chachilla, and they have yards. There's A, B, C, and D. A yard is specifically for reception.
Okay.
People are coming in, so you wear orange, like bright orange. Like everyone's wearing orange.
That's the same thing for a reception for the males, man. Like,
Oh,
it's
really?
literally same thing. Yeah, you wear orange, and then once they send you wherever, then they give you a little set of blues,
You wear orange. Because I fought my case for so many years, and I was in, mini high power. I've got to meet a lot of people that were fighting a lot of time and that were already going to prison, So when I got to reception, this girl greeted me, that she's giving you your clothes. And she tells me, Yesenia? Like, I'm already getting messages and I just, like, got to the yard. She's like, Yesenia told me to tell you that she loves you. And as soon as you hit the yard, like, she got clothes for you already. And,
that, huh?
Yes, like that, and that's, like...
with the guys, hey, once you hit the yard, bro, you got to do this, you got to do that. That's so different, like such a different world.
And I was just like, oh, thank you, like just like, like I had so many friends in there that were already like, Evelyn's coming up to prison, like we got her, and I was just like, like okay, I could do this, but just like looking at like, whoa, there's like just like fields and Chachilla and fields. There's like nothing. It's just like, and I'm just thinking like, this is where I'm gonna live.
Yeah.
Get off the bus and you're just like, oh. And that bus, it was smelled. It was so long. The officers, I don't know what they're called, that take you up to prison are like super mean. They're like, no.
They're notorious.
They
They're
really
assholes.
are. Like, there's like one in the back, just like, no talking, no, shh, hey, what'd I say? And you're just like, I'm literally like whispering, like,
Yeah.
like you're talking, you're whispering. You're just like, I'm just like, please get me off this bus already.
So since one of the yards is reception, is it still like a level 4, 3, 2, 1 type of deal?
So Chachilla is a level 4 prison. I think it's 3 and 4. Chachilla is a 3 and 4. But doesn't matter if your crime was, not that harsh, you still have to hit Chachilla, a yard. Everyone that's gonna go to prison has to hit a yard reception.
So you don't want to have any debts or nothing, huh? Because they're gonna see you.
I mean, you have to hit the yard because that's where they're gonna give you your number, your prison number.
That's interesting. So anywhere you go, there's one designated spot you have to go.
For the women, if you're hitting prison, yes, in California, it's Chachilla.
And that's not the same for males.
No, I think for males, there's like
I think they
at
go
least
to
7
Delano.
or 8 different prisons. You can go Delano, Wasco. You can go, what's another one? You can go up north, San Quentin. I think all the dudes from Oakland and Sacramento, they go to reception in San Quentin. It just depends, yeah.
But then again, the male population has like way too
probably,
many
yeah, probably
prisons.
way,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's a yard. You're wearing orange. In county, they force you to tuck in your shirt. So when I hit a yard, I was like,
Tuck it in,
and then
yeah.
the girls were like, Evelyn, you don't have to tuck in your shirt here. I'm like, what? They're like, you don't have to tuck in your shirt here. And I was like, oh. It was like different structure.
Right.
Why is that?
Why is that?
Yeah.
Because it's not as like, prison is not as like, hey, you have to wear your shirt tucked in. Like, it's not like county. Like, it's just this different type of structure. You don't have to do that.
Wow, so it's already easing off. Like, just like what that girl told you, like,
Yes.
jail, county and prison are way different.
Hey, picture it this way. It's like every yard is its own little village, basically, right? Like, so since you're there and you're literally living there, you see a person 18 and you'll see them 40 years old, like they've lived their whole lives there. I guess they kind of have to add some level of comfortability, It's not as like rigid as it is county, where they don't know who the fuck is who and they're slapping you in your head. You're just like, get the hell in there. That, that has to be part of it,
And well, yeah. And then it's the sheriffs too that take care of us.
Sheriffs.
Are these girl or just male sheriffs?
No.
I always
there's
wondered that.
everything.
Is there's dudes in there
Yeah.
as the cops, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Even during
like,
that,
and it's
okay.
funny because we would like be like, yeah, you could tell this dude just came from the academy. Like we would literally be like, yeah, And I feel if I'm not mistaken, I know that they have to do like certain hours in, like in
Before
jail.
they become sheriffs in
yeah.
the street. Yeah, I think it's like 2 years. Any sheriff have to have served in any of the county jails or something like that
Yeah.
before they let them on the
Yeah,
street.
so there's like a lot of young people, I don't know. It just depends. It just depends what you get. But another thing that I was like kind of like wowed by was in county, they turn on and off the lights like they control that. So in A yard in reception, there's a switch. You
Got
could like
you.
turn it on and off. So I remember when I got there, I was like, "Hey, do you know what time do they turn off the lights?" And the girl was like, "Look at the wall." And I was like, "What?" "Look at the wall." And I was like, I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Press it." And I'm like, I was literally like, "Oh, I control the light." You know, like just those little things that I was like, "Whoa, like we get to turn on the light here," you know. I was like, "That's cool." So there's 3 different buildings, and 2 of the buildings, this is a thing that like they would talk about the most. It's seven people to like a room. 7 people, yeah.
Instead of like 2, right?
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So no, it's 8 people to a room. There's 4 bunk beds, and they have their own restroom, and yeah, they have their own restroom.
What?
That's all the yards, like the setup, at least more or less, or is that just reception?
All the yards
They're
live like this,
designed-
but I was in 503, so it's 501, 502, 503 in a yard. So 503 was the only building that was just like county. So it's like cell living, and it had 2 bunk beds in one cell. So receptions, you're gonna do 3 months, the most you're gonna do in reception.
Okay.
And I went to that building, which for me was good because it kind of like helped me smooth out my transition. Like I wasn't just put into an environment with like 8 different girls, 8 different personalities.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I was in a two cell people, and it was pretty cool for me. I actually knew the girl again because I was in there for such a long time, so I see people coming and going, and going. I already was like familiarized with this girl. She was pretty cool. I did 3 months, and then you could either get shipped somewhere, or they'll like finally take you to like the Rio yards. And once you're in the Rio yard, they're gonna like, depending if you're gonna stay there in Chachilla or you're gonna go somewhere else. Luckily for me, they had told me that because I was a long-termer, that I was gonna have to stay in Chachilla for like a few years before I could like go to another prison. But when I went to go see my counselor, she said, nope, you could go straight to CIW, which was closer to home for me. And I was
Way
like,
closer.
I don't have to wait. She's like, no, it's a thing now. 18 years and up, you have to do a year here. She's like, now you could go. So I was like, yes. They still sent me to D Yard. And D Yard was where like a lot of my friends were. The one that had sent me the message. So,
So
like,
you landed
The
with her,
homegirl
huh?
Yesenia.
well, I landed in the same yard.
Okay.
Not in the same building, but in the same yard. So once I got there, clothes, food, makeup, because, in prison you can have makeup.
You
So,
can, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about like all the makeup you could think of. They even have MAC. They have everything. Yes. So,
Like they had
she's
Sephora
like,
in.
nuts,
They
bro.
had
Yeah.
Sephora, bro.
That's nuts.
So
It sounds like a sorority. Sororities do that. Like they welcome you with like all this stuff when
That's a
you
great
when
way
you
to
get
put it.
your
I mean,
sister,
shit,
your big sis.
technically an all girls club, all boys club.
Yeah.
if you wanted me to be honest with you, so I landed in this room. And once again, because I fought my case for such a long time, I already know a lot of the people that are there. And I landed into a room where a person that I already knew, she was already there, like she had a year or 2 there. And she's like, oh, I remember you from county. Like, so she welcomed me in. But there's a lot of girls that like really had like bad experiences, a hard time, because over there they do like, you have to wake up and you have to scrub walls, scrub the floor, scrub the toilet.
Who's making you do that? The officers, or that's just the culture among the inmates?
It's the culture.
Wow.
If you land into a room, the room belongs to someone automatically. I could tell you that. It belongs to someone.
Oh, shit.
Whoever
That's nuts.
is in charge of that room, you're going to go by their rules. So if she likes you to clean the corners, the edges, double scrub every day, she's going to make you double scrub every day. She had a routine, like one day you clean, one day we clean, one day, but you had to, I'm talking about clean the walls, like the ceiling, like, you in there,
Wow.
you get on your hands and knees and scrub the floor.
Yeah.
That's how you clean. That's how you really clean, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get the mop stick and you clean. No, that's dirty. You get on your hands and knees. Yep.
Like Superman or something, right? The whole
You're
dust
like-
bunnies in the floor.
Yeah, you know, they're like very,
Dust bunnies.
yeah, they're, you
Check
know.
underneath your bed, Brian. You might have.
Don't, bro.
And she's just a lifer, so, you know, and she was like super cool.
So is that, you think that's like more at a respect for the person that they've probably been there forever? And you don't even have to go into details if it's something beyond that. You know what I mean?
I don't think, I just feel that it's like, it becomes a norm, you know, like
Okay.
when you go into prison and like being clean, like it's a must.
Okay.
Taking a shower at least 2 times a day is a must. If not, like the person who's in charge of the room is probably gonna have a problem with you. You
If
must
you
do your
don't
beds.
shower.
Yes.
Well, shit. Goddamn, there's what, 8 people in there, you said?
Yeah,
if you
there's
don't
8
shower,
people.
Yeah, you can't have a stinky
And-
person in there.
Yeah, you know, but the first time I went out to the yard and like I see like everyone and they're wearing regular clothes. They're not wearing blues. You know, that's like the uniform over there. I'm talking about Levi's, Nikes, Jordans. Like I'm out in the yard and I'm just like, these people got boom boxes. They're dancing. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you didn't expect that one up.
Yeah,
I did not
I'm
expect
like-
that either.
you know,
Yo,
and-
like, what is going on? Like, I'm so confused.
And I'm just like, I'm just looking around and I'm just like, I think I could do this. You know,
man,
like,
yeah.
you know, it did like the people. I'm like, okay, like, so you know, I remember I get on the phone with my brother and I'm like, so I'm like explaining what I'm describing to you guys. I'm describing it to him. I'm like, you know what this is? Like a college living, like that's what it reminded me of. Like this is a college living environment. Like
It's called the School of Hard Knocks. That's what it's called.
and you know, and like there's school there's you know, like they have everything. Like if you want to get into a trade, if you want to go to college, if you want to finish high school, you know, like you just live there, like college living. That's
So
Which
when
is-
you get there, how much time? My fault.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, how much time did you, when you got there, did you have? And that's taking into account the 2 years you were fighting the case and all that.
2 years, and I did 3 years in A yard, and then I get to D yard, and I only did a month.
In the before getting transferred out.
Yes.
Okay, so you didn't even get a chance to get your packages or nothing. Or your
No,
clothes?
you're not allowed until you get classified.
Okay.
That's what, you know, so once you go into like where you're really gonna live,
Mm-hmm.
they classify you and then that's when they could send you your packages. So I'm there for a month, but you know, I'm good because, you know, my friends gave me clothes, you
Okay.
know, like it doesn't feel like, okay, you know, like,
Warm
I have
welcome.
something, you know. I get to a month later, you know, I get to CIW. And honestly, the first time I see this place,
dirty.
dirty, and all I'm thinking is, it looks like I'm in the projects. Because that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. I'm like, I'm in the projects.
Way different.
Yes, I'm like, living in the projects. And over there, they don't have the like dorm living where it's like 7, 8 people to a room. Over there is cell living, so 2 persons to a room. And I'm just like, ew. But in that bus ride, I made friends, you know, that were already there, like lifers that were there for a very long time. So, you know, and it's a small community. CIW, like everyone knows everyone. CIW reminded me literally of high school. It's the best way I could describe it. You have the people that are drug addicts that like to do, you know, drink and party out in the yard. You have the people that are, you know, like the pretty girls, the nerds, you know, the rockers. Like you just see, like
Just everybody, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
you're just like that's literally what it reminded me of. I'm like, okay, I'm like back in high school.
Is that because it's a lower level?
Actually, they kind of had like 1, 2, 3, and 4. They had a little
Okay,
bit of
so-
everything. They say that CIW goes to that the snitches go to CIW. They
God,
like have it labeled. The baby cases go to CIW. And baby cases.
And what's a
is-
baby case?
A baby cases is like anyone that had like something to do with a child in their case.
Oh man.
So yeah,
Like social service stuff, right?
anything
beat
if
'em or
yeah
something, like-
anything
Okay,
if
whoa.
if your case had anything to do with a kid, you're a baby case. That's just how it goes in the
and
yard.
that's a really bad thing.
That's a super bad label to have. Girls get definitely beat up for being a baby case. Once again, depending
I
on what
see.
you did.
Damn.
So CIW was like, okay, like it's definitely dirty. There's a lot of dirt, but there's houses and like a park nearby. So I was like, okay, But to me, all that mattered was that I was close to home. I was 40 minutes away from home. Like I was back in Southern California.
Right.
I was like, I could do this. I was like, I guess, this is going to be my home. My release date was October 30th, 2025. That was the release date.
And
they
we're in
gave me.
2020.
And we're in 2023.
Right.
One of the first things that my mom told me was, I told her, hey, Mom, like I could work here. Mind you, they do pay you by the cents.
Dang, what's that look like then? An hour? Like each hour you're getting how much?
So it depends. The most you can make in prison is $1. And that's if you're like a construction worker.
And probably a lifer, right? Because they got the best pay numbers because they've been there forever, or no?
It's just really, it's like networking and who you know.
Ah, okay.
If,
There.
if you're cool with someone, hey, like maybe they could give you a job. My mom told me, look, Evelyn, don't work. I'll take care of you. Just go to school.
Good shit.
That's what she told me. She said, go to school. She said, just do something with your life. And I was just like, all right. So there's a waiting list for everything in there. But because CIW is smaller, it's a little faster. I enrolled back to high school because I dropped off when I was 15, 14. And I had to go back for my GED. So I'm just like, just trying to learn everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, like it's kind of
You're back
hard.
in high school, yeah.
Practically, I was back in high school. There was sometimes like the teacher in there, she did say she was very helpful. Like you could tell she was passionate, about what she did. But she also said, look, you guys are grown women. I'm not here to babysit you guys. Mm-hmm. Whoever wants to learn is going to learn. Whoever doesn't want to learn, like that's on you guys.
Right.
In prison, everyone has to do something. You have to program. That's what we call it, programming. Whether it's working, going to school, you must be doing something. You cannot not be doing anything unless you have like a disability.
Yeah.
Like some type of chrono or something like that for that?
Like you're medically like impaired something. If you don't want to go to school, you better have a doctor's notice.
Something. This is interesting. So this is like I feel like this relates, and you tell me if I'm wrong, to the last episode. Check it out, y'all. With Jared's episode, Ironwood being like that kind of vibe, that same, like if you're not doing it, you're seen as like not to be messed up, but like you're trash, like if you're not doing it. So like that, like you're not doing nothing, you're not going through programming, you're seen like in the shadows.
So no. What happens there is that if you don't program, whoever is in charge of wherever you're gonna be at, you're gonna get written up.
So that's coming not from the inmates on this one. That's from the cops.
Yes. So it's pretty much whoever's in charge. Like, kitchen worker. By the way, when I first got there, they threw me into the kitchen, which is like the worst job to ever have.
Mm-hmm.
There's no hustles out of the kitchen though.
There's a lot of hustles out of the kitchen. You could sell the food, you could sell the vegetables,
Right.
you could get, there's a lot of hustles. But when you start at the dishwasher, is not the business. When you have to wake up at 4:30 to go into work, is not the business. And not only that, they have this like super weird schedule at CIW. And if you get the split shift, which I was lucky enough to get it, and the split shift means that you work 4 hours in the morning and you work 4 hours in the evening. So I was there to serve breakfast and I was there to serve dinner.
Mm-hmm. Oh man.
That's when my life consisted of. Like, I started at the at the, washing all the pots and pans, which are a lot to, for the population of a prison, and I have to wash them all. And then, I got upgraded to the line, which is when they're coming by and you're like,
And you're giving them.
Gotcha.
What kind of food were y'all eating? Like, out of curiosity.
you know what? The food wasn't so bad. In the morning, they do serve pancakes. Like, every day, it's a different
Every day?
thing. Every day is a different
Okay.
thing. But pancakes, to me, were like one of the best things because they're actually handmade.
Mm.
They're not like something you
The
just
batter and everything, like you guys
Yes,
were doing that?
the girls
Oh,
were like
man.
on the stoves because they have like big stoves, like
Damn.
roast, eggs. They would even do like this salsa, like with tomatoes, like pico de gallo, and like they would throw it in the egg, like and it's really the girls. So there's cooks there, but there's girls that are helping them that are inmates,
Yeah.
and they're like, the girls could be like, hey, throw this in there, and if they're cool like that.
Just hook up a special meal for you guys.
Same for dinner.
Yes.
Damn. Okay.
So I did work in the kitchen for about 3 months until I went
Okay.
to school. Working in the kitchen was pretty cool because I did get to like make friends with the cooks. So if I would go sometimes to get him, be like, hey, can I have an extra milk? Can I have extra this? And like they would hook it up. So that was cool. And then you made friends also there that still worked there. So
Yeah.
if you asked, hey, it's me, I would like tell them, and they would like put more
They
extra
knew
stuff
already.
on the thing. Yeah, but I went back to school, and it took me about 2 years to get it, but I got it.
That's
To
great.
get your high school
My
diploma
GED.
or GED?
Nice. Congratulations.
Congrats, man.
Congratulations.
Because you know as well as I do, there's a lot of people in there that just refuse to even get that. When you're
Right.
already in there, you might as well.
I was like, I was just like, math was like definitely my hardest subject, but I was like, I have to do it. I got my GED, and then after you're done with that, because you're already in school, you're able to like, what do you want to do? And they have a lot of vocational like things.
Trainings.
Yeah,
Okay.
training. So I went for it's called technology services, and you get certified in like Word, Excel, PowerPoint.
Nice.
I love that. Yeah.
So that's what I did next. I was there the last few years while I was incarcerated. But they also have college. So my friends would be like, Evelyn, like you need to go to college. And I would be like, no, it's not for me.
That's so cool though that you have that kind of like those people next to you really telling you, yo, you gotta go to college. Like
Seriously, man.
that's even out here is hard to find. Like supportive people like
Instead of
that.
being on drugs or something,
Right.
or trying to push that, they're telling you to go to college. Like that's badass to have somebody on your team like that. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, and it's like, and there's so many like genuine people that you meet in there, like from all walks of life, all ethnicities. Like I have friends, I'm just like my group friends are just be like, that's your friend, and like I have so many friends that I made while I was in prison, and I'm talking about lifers that got out, that they went aboard, and they told them, yes, you deserve to be out there. And and I still have a lot of friends that are still in there, and that are like fighting their cases. They're been in there for more than 10 years, 12 years, still trying to like get out. So I ended up going to college, and I was just like, this is not for me. I don't know how or why, I just didn't think it was for me.
I'm glad you said that because that was going to be my next question. Like, why not? But okay, it's just something didn't click at that moment.
Yeah, I was just like school, like, yeah, like I was done, like there. I completed my GED, I'm done. I got a few certifications, like I'm done.
How many years did you have in at this point in total?
So in total, okay, when I got my GED, I had about 5 years in already.
Okay.
And when I went to college, 7 years in.
So it took you 2 years to finally join.
Yeah,
Yeah.
finally. So I joined in 2019. I was like, all right. And, this is because all my friends are like, come on, come on, come on. And even then, like, enrolling into college is kind of like a lottery. Like, only few certain get chosen.
Right. I didn't even know that. Whoa.
Because, they can. So they do cohorts. And, like this cohort, next cohort, like you'll be the first one pretty much. And this was the first cohort that they were doing a double major, which was psychology and sociology. And I was like, I'm in. First semester, by the way, the professors go into prison and teach you.
Ooh, that's nice. Okay.
That's so cool.
So I'm taking 4 classes my first semester. I'm just like, how am I going
That's
to
a
do
lot.
this?
I tip my hat to you. That's a lot. First semester, not knowing what college is, not knowing what a syllabus is, not knowing anything. That's a lot. Yeah.
Very
was
true.
like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. My roommate at that time, we both got chosen for the cohort, so we were all in the same classes together. So that was pretty cool, because we would help each other. And I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna
Help
do this.
each other.
Help each other.
Hence,
I was just like,
help each other.
No, I'm just like, but I was just like, I have no clue how I'm gonna do this, and this is my first time, like attempting like college level classes. And by the end of the semester, if I tell you I was surprised, I was shocked. Straight A's, 4.0.
Straight A's?
Damn, that's dope.
And I was
Hit
just
that,
like,
sound effect.
and and I was just like I did that, like, and even then it's just like I don't know how I did it.
Right.
I was just like, wow, like, okay, then really like, okay, I could do this. Second semester, in the middle of it, pandemic hits.
Oh, right.
That's
Wow, I
nuts.
forgot all about that.
That good old pandemic.
Real quick question before you go into that. I'm thinking this whole time because I'm thinking about prison politics, fights, things of that sort. What is any of that going on? Because it seems like such a happy place to me. Like,
So there's definitely a lot of that going on.
Oh, okay.
There's fights. There's people getting caught with drugs. People getting caught with cell phones. Which, by the way, I did have a cell phone in prison, and I also got caught with one.
Oh, okay.
I was like, that's, yes, there's everything that there's out here. It's in there too. It's just the hard reality. And sometimes I say like, it's probably worse there in prison than it is out there, because you could get your hands on everything.
yeah.
There's definitely, the dope dealers, the hustlers, there's everything in the yard. Me personally, I was like, I'm walking a straight line. Like,
Great, yeah.
I didn't like, if I learned something in prison is that, like, I kind of like, it was kind of like a street code, like you mind your own business. Like, that's how I was. Like, I don't care what the next person is doing. I don't care what my neighbor's doing. Like, they get into fights, like, and most of the fights in there, kid me not, are girlfriend related.
No way.
That's another topic in itself.
It's girlfriend related. Like, oh, you're talking
Is
to
there
my
a lot of that?
girlfriend? There's a
There's
lot of
a lot
that.
of that, huh?
There's a lot of that. If girls go in there straight, more than likely they're gonna come out not being straight.
Whoa.
And I have a few of my friends actually that were like super straight. They're like, no, like, and they went to prison, and when they came out, they don't mess with dudes no more.
No more.
No more. They're like,
Hey, I always wonder, does that happen naturally, or is it like, one of the girls that's just like forcing up? Like, I'm curious about that. That's what
Honestly-
the way the movies portray it. I'm just saying.
no,
right?
honestly, I feel that in prison, it's a trend.
There you go.
It's a trend.
It's a trend.
Like, it's the thing. Like, you have a girlfriend, or girls that are like girly girls become like tomboyish, because apparently girls that become tomboyish in prison get more attention. So, like, and it's a survival thing. I've seen a lot of girls that become boys, like literally will cut their hair off, and once they leave prison, they're girls again.
They're back. Yeah.
And we're just like,
Girl.
See, I never would have known or
Yeah.
pictured something like that, or even thought that's the get down. That's nuts to think about it.
What about this is another pretty sensitive one. What about relationships with inmates and cops?
Man, that's a good one. I've
there's-
always wondered that too.
there's that too.
How does
Now,
that go?
However, like, it was funny because you would hear a lot like, oh, this girl's messing with this cop, and you're just like, like, you could tell.
How
You could
how
just
can you
tell.
tell? Do they get an extra fucking tray or?
So
Yeah, right.
say the officer is
And
like,
real quick, just general, in case
No.
I don't know if that stuff's still going on. You don't want to.
no, it's not going on, and I'm gonna tell you why it's not going
Okay.
on. Like say, we used to like make fun of these girls where like an officer's working like in a building that they don't even live, and you will see them like go over there and just like talk to them, like he would like just let them in, and we're just like, they're obvious.
shit.
Like we would be like, they're obvious. Like you could just tell. Like they do not know how to like keep it low
Keep
key.
it low key.
Like we would always say, and then later on you're like, oh, he got walked off, and we're like, okay, I wonder why.
Got
You
walked
know?
off how? Oh, like
he got fired.
oh wow.
Investigation.
okay.
Yeah, that's where like, oh, did you hear he got walked off? Like that's when like, oh, he got caught. Now they have body cams, and CIW was the only prison that didn't have cameras in the yards. We did not have
Damn,
no
that
cameras.
sounds like a recipe for disaster, huh?
We didn't have no cameras, no nothing. So it was pretty much like, you do whatever you want. The thing I am gonna say about CIW too was that a lot of people ask me this, like, were you like just locked in? And I'm like, no. The doors open at 6 a.m, and the only time you go in is for count, which is 3:30 to 4:30, and then they open up again and they don't close till 8:45. So
Like yard recall and stuff like that. Same thing. That's
sometimes there could be yard recall, but the doors are pretty much open.
okay.
You could be like inside your dorm, like your building, or be outside in the yard, like unless something's going on. What I don't miss is the yards down. So I don't know if you know about yard down. Every time something happens, anything, it could be an emergency, it could be somebody fighting, it could be they sound the alarm.
Right. Okay.
And they say, yard, as soon as you hear the alarm, get down on the floor. Rain, sun, you get down on the floor. CIW has a tendency of putting the yard down like every few minutes. You're just like, yard down.
So you could be wearing like your good shoes, your good.
Doesn't
They
matter.
don't care.
Yard
See?
down.
Yeah. Fuck. Wherever you're at, just lay the fuck down, huh? Prone out.
You better sit on the floor. Yeah.
I'm learning a lot, man. It's a whole different culture,
It's different,
bro.
yeah. That's why some of them I'm like, I don't even know. It's way different. It has to be way different.
No,
right,
it's
too?
definitely way different. The way I see it is, there's no really politicking in prison. Although there is some girls, that politic, but it's really, you live whatever life you want to live in prison.
Got it.
If you want to still keep living that lifestyle, you can live it in there. If you don't want to, then
You're good. No one.
then
No.
you're good.
You don't have like somebody that just for everybody that can
No.
tell everybody what to do.
Like over there, no, there's definitely like you run your own program.
Okay.
Unless you want to be involved in but other than that, no, everyone runs their own program. You're able to mix with anybody and everybody. Nobody could tell you anything. No, you can't hang around with that person.
I love that, man. I think that's one of the things that allows you to experience other fucking people, allows you to grow, allows you to understand that it's not just a little box that you were living in when you got busted. Now you're meeting people from up north, down south, Central California, San Diego.
And
It's
even
like it's a
people
different
that
world.
are not even from this country. Like
Oh,
I
that
met
too.
people that live in Mexico, live in Colombia, live in they're in Spain.
Oh shit.
Like you meet like all types of people. You're just like
What? You really get like a mixture of like a whole.
you definitely
Yeah, pretty
do.
much.
You
I guess
too?
everyone's getting.
Like-
yeah, for us, I mean, it's anyone that's gotten busted. I guess pretty much. I'm imagining the feds probably more because now you're in there across the country with everybody. But in general, yeah, I guess you could be from anywhere and you do something stupid in California, you're gonna get
Yeah.
sent to the same
Wow.
jail as everybody else. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. And that is actually one of the things that I do mention to people. I'm like, prison is like the best school I could have ever gone to. Like, yes, I went to prison, but it allowed me to like meet different people from different walks of life, different ethnicities. And it's like I find that like I don't think I would have ever like been somewhere in a situation or in a place where I was allowed to just talk and be able to connect with all these types of people.
What about even like the education, right? The high school diploma, then that led you to college
And yeah, so that I kept going to college. Unfortunately, like I said, when COVID hit, they're trying to do it like through the mail.
Okay.
But for me, it was a little harder. And then I was able to when that happened, it was when, I don't know if you guys heard about like the 60% kicked in, 66% kicked in. So most people, when you go into prison, you get sentenced to, so I got sentenced to 15 years and I got 85%. So that means I'm gonna do 85% of my time. But 85% dropped down to 66%. So, you know, like my time went a little down. But when
66%. I'm sure everybody was fucking smiling at that one, huh?
when you, after you've been seven years incarcerated, you're able to take your, I'm trying to think what it was called. It's like they take this thing away and I'm a level 0. Like I have, because of my sentence, I was always like, I had high points, even though like I would behave good and I had, you know, good behavior, like no write-ups, there's still, like you're still a high level. So 66% hit in and I was eligible now to go to fire camp.
Oh, they have that.
They have
So
fire
they
camp
have
for
fire
women.
camp for women.
Okay.
You know, and once you hit fire camp, you get your time cut off to 50%. Which, by the way, because I was already in college and I also did self-help groups, you get time reduced. So for getting my GED, I got 6 months off. For every class that I passed in college, I got 3 weeks off. So for a whole semester, I get 3 months off. And slowly but surely, you know, like my time I was just like, yes. As soon as I kept seeing my time, like, you know, go down, it's like encouraging me to keep going.
That's great.
And then fire camp, 50% off. I'm like, I'm going for it. It's funny that through all this, like my oldest daughter, she told me, make it home for my 15th birthday. I'm just like, how am I gonna do that?
No.
I'm supposed to get home when she turned 18. So I was like,
2025.
yes. So I was just like, all right. You know, like now by this time, 66% kicked in. So I'm like 2024. I'm just like, it's all right. You know, I got this. I'm going to go to fire camp. And the training is brutal. Especially, you know, if you don't work out.
Is it done right there in Cheeto?
Yes.
Yeah?
They do the fire camp training
And
there.
in the summer, it's fucking hot out there.
And it was summer.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And I'm just like, you know, and the coach would tell us, you know, it's not the strongest that survive. Is, you know, if you're strong mentally. Like if you're strong mentally, you're gonna be able to do this. So you have to run a mile in 9 minutes, which is not that bad. But when it's like 110 degrees outside,
Right.
you just have to do all types of things. I'm just like,
Yeah.
get me out of here. And all I could think of when I'm running and it's so hot, I'm just like, I could do this. I could do this.
Yeah.
15. I gotta, you know, like
There
that's
you
all I'm
go.
telling myself. Unfortunately, for people like me that are not runners, like I got bruises in my toes. Like I'm talking about purple nails. Like they when it was getting infected and I'm still like trying to do my training and I went to the doctor and the doctor's like, no, like you have to,
Like, you can't do it?
like no, he tells me that I have to wait at least a week because it's not happening. Damn. You know, I'm just like now it's not up to me and I'm just like, okay. So while this is happening, I'm already eligible to go to a CCTRP. And what a CCTRP is that there's programs where you're still a part of the state, like you still have your number, but when you have 2 years to the gate, you're able to, it's called like a reentry home and you're able to like transition. back into society. That's what they help you with. They like give you all the trainings, and then they help you like build the resume, interview, and eventually get a job while you're still there. And they'll save 70% of your money. So by the time you go home, you go home
have something,
to fall back.
Yeah.
You're not just gonna get thrown. And of course, that's if you have good behavior, if you're a low level and you're able to go to these types of programs. And I was eligible, but because I wanted that 50%, I'm just like, no, I can't do that. It sounds good though. So while I was there, something good happened. So they started doing 30 for 30. So every 30 months that you do in, you get 30 off, which is technically 50%. And now everyone that is a low level will qualify for this. So even if I go to a CCTRP, my 50, I was going to get 50%.
Yeah.
But it was like 30 days, you get 30, you do 30 days, you get 30 days off. 30 days, that's how they were working it at that time. So, with my black toenails, I was like, I don't have to do this training anymore.
Yeah.
I ended up going to a CCTRP. And so now I'm going to get transitioned to the real world.
Dang.
Now I've been in there for about 8 years and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, well,
you ready to go home at that point?
Yeah.
at that point, yeah, it's like I'm ready to go
Like
home.
you really want it, yeah.
So now, it's like you're back to the streets, but you wear an ankle monitor, but you're not allowed to like go out unless they take you to your doctor's appointments. Like they take you to wherever you need to go, you're gonna get it. Like you can't go by yourself. So I transitioned into this home, and they have like everyday groups. Like it's just every day you have to do groups, pretty much. And then there was already someone in there who's actually going to the same college that I used to go, and I know a lot of the girls that are in there already. So I signed up for college. They allow me to sign up for college, so I continue my education while I was in there. They like give you a laptop and everything. They set you
Cool.
up. So I was doing online college while I was doing, their groups. I was able to continue my education. So the 30 for 30 kept kicking in. I kept doing my college classes. So it brought down my time to with like everything this year, last year. My out date, as it kept changing. My final out day was on Father's Day, June 21st.
Wow.
Jesus.
That's ironic.
Yeah.
Father's
I know,
Day.
right?
Dang.
So you transitioned to this house in what year? This was 2022? That's when you first touched at the
No, 2021.
So you've been out here for a little while, but not out here because you're
Right.
still.
Yeah, they don't.
So you can't even. So for the men, we deal with a lot of them. For the men's program, it's called MCRP. They get to come out after 3 months. They allow them to go job hunt and stuff like that.
No, over here it's way
No,
different.
okay.
Maybe after 8 months they'll let you go job hunting.
Maybe after 8 months, man.
Yes,
Wow.
that's how it is. Yeah, and the guys have cell phones. We don't.
So you get to see the streets and shit, but you
Yes.
don't get to step out there on your
No.
own, other than like visits.
No, it's a different type of prison. You get to have regular clothes sent from home, but no, you don't get to. You still have to call through the payphone in the program.
Okay,
Visits
so-
are different?
Huh?
Are visits different?
Well, I mean, they're not as supervised, but yeah, you get, and actually, you get less time there. In prison,
Less time for the visit?
yes,
Really?
in prison
Okay.
you have from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and over here
That's
it
a
was
whole
like
damn,
like
okay.
3 hours, 2 hours.
Do you guys get that long of visits at that time?
I don't know if it's that long. I remember I got like 3 visits. One of them, it was an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max. To the point where you forget, you even like, it gets awkward. You're like, what the fuck do I say now?
Oh, whoa.
I think those are like the first visits, but when you get like
Okay.
frequent visits, you get more like
For sure, for sure. I can imagine if like my girl or my baby's mom at the time would show up, I would have definitely like had rapport. I would have known what she was doing. I would, you're right. Like you can have some type of conversation once they show up a lot.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like okay, yeah, because first visits were kind of awkward.
Yeah, you're like, damn, what do you do? I've been here forever.
How you been? Good. Like, so yeah, so I did transition to the, it's like a sober living, but like
Okay.
you're still in prison. You wear an ankle monitor.
So since 21, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that.
So
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
2021. It was like June something 2021. So then like they're like, all right, Evelyn, you could go to college. No, they said you could find a job. Like.
So after how long? A year after that
So
point?
me personally, like how it works in there is like if they see like you have a good behavior, like so if you go, so they call it phases, there's like
Okay,
lodges.
yeah.
So you have different lodges, like you're in the West Lodge, you're in the South Lodge. And how it works is that in order for you to advance, you have the whole staff, like every person that works in there has a saying whether you go to the next. Yes, that's how it works. Whether you go to the next phase or not. So just say that somebody has something bad to say about you, then like.
Damn.
I can imagine that.
You're talking about like phase up, right?
Yeah,
That's
phase
how
up.
I
That's
know it.
ex-
That's how
yeah.
we know it, right? It's the phase.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These
that's
guys-
exactly
yeah.
what it is.
Okay.
It's exactly how it has the guys do it, the girls do it too, but a little more complicated.
Okay.
See, I know my shit too, guys.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, come on.
So, and it's funny because when I got there, like I already kind of knew, like, because of my friends, like, kind of already knew, like, okay, like, they're gonna pay attention to how much you participate, how much you share, how much, like, that's the type of things they want to see. So, the way I saw it is, okay, I'm gonna ace this program.
Good.
Like,
Nice.
whatever it has to do, I'm gonna do it. So as soon as I got there, like, does anybody want to read? Does anybody want to share? Does anybody want to volunteer? Yes. Sign me up for everything.
That's good. That's
For
good. Yeah.
everything, I'm gonna do it.
Uh-huh.
So, it was kind of like messed up because there's girls that were there already for a year and still haven't faced up. I was there for about 6-7 months. Evelyn, like, you're facing up, like, and they're all looking at me and I'm just like, I didn't ask to get faced up.
Yeah.
Like,
You did it with your actions.
Right.
I did. I'm
proved-
sorry,
yeah.
I didn't ask. And and the crazy thing is that, so you could go job hunting. No, I don't want to. What do you want to do? I want to finish my education because once I get to the real world, it's gonna be harder for me to finish it.
I agree.
So I was taking 5 classes, and they said,
That's
okay.
what, 14 units, 15 units?
I was taking like 18 units at one time because I would fast track some classes. So they
That's
told
in
me,
my head,
okay,
man.
Evelyn, because you don't want a job, you're like a special case.
What school are you doing this through?
Excuse me.
What school are you doing it through?
So it's community college.
Okay.
It's still a community college, So they said, all right, Evelyn, because, you don't want to find a job, but you just want to, like, do the education, then it's only fair that you're allowed to just take it like you're doing a job. So then I got permission to walk to the library.
At the campus or
So,
the local library?
No, the local library. The
Okay.
crazy thing was that they're like, okay, we're going to do this as this is your job. So where do you think they sent me, guys? They sent me to Amistad to do my homework in there.
Really? Okay. Am I tripping?
What?
Isn't that Amity, basically?
It's Amistad where the MCR.
guys are
across
at.
the
So
street
where
from
all
it,
the guys
yeah.
are at. They send me there to go do my homework. And I'm just like, and they're like, and you better not talk to no guys. And I'm just like, well, I mean, I'm not going to be rude either.
Yeah.
But, they're all like, don't talk to guys. And I have to go in the bus. So I'm just like, cool. Like, to me, it's like, it's a little field trip, like.
Yes.
What was that like for you? Like, you're back in the real world, real world. Like,
but, I have an ankle monitor. And,
Yeah.
I have to go from point A to point B, and that's it.
Which, if you really think about it, you did 8.5 years in there. It takes a little time to transition. Sometimes we may not like to admit it, but it might serve you as a good thing just to figure it out a little bit.
And And I would like a lot of my friends would tell me like once you come out here, like you're gonna see like sometimes you might get a little anxiety or you might and like being around a lot of people. So I remember like I would be walking or I would be in the bus like there's like a lot of people and I would be like I'll think about it. Do I feel anxiety? And I'm like looking at the people and I'm like, no. Cool.
Ooh,
I would
okay.
like question myself like, am I feeling anxiety? I'm like, what am I feeling? Like I just wanted. And the only thing I would say that sometimes I would like find it a little trigger was when like I would hear alarms. I'll be like,
oh
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh no. I was like, let's not yard down. Like it would get me, or even hearing keys, because the officers always
makes
like
you turn away fast.
Yeah, and there's this staff that had like her keys here all the time, so like she would like ring them a lot, and I would tell her like, you have to carry your keys. And she's like, I'm helping you. I'll be like, yeah. So the keys, like that. Those were like I did notice like triggers,
Triggers, yeah.
But after I went a few times to the guys' program, and I was like, they would be like, the guys don't try to get at you, the guys don't, and I would tell them honestly they don't. I'm like kind of getting offended now by this time, I would tell them, and they would be like, really, and I told them it's because I feel that it's the way you carry yourself. If you're gonna go in there like, trying to look, then of course they're gonna be like, okay, and they're gonna approach you that way. But when I'm not, like, if they talk to me, like, I'm polite, like, hi, how are you doing, and that's it. I'm like, then that's the way they're gonna approach you.
Yeah.
Like, and, and it goes by ear, word of mouth, like, oh, that girl, she's approachable. But no.
I'm thinking, and they might have thought you worked there or something, no?
OMG.
Like, you're probably the only girl there.
Actually, let me tell you guys that a lot of the guys would walk in there and would be like, excuse me, do you, like...
Right.
And I you can't see my ankle monitor and I'm just normal, and I'd be like, I don't work here. So later on when they would find out, like, she's not a staff, they're like trip out.
Gotcha.
Like even the staff that worked there, like a lot of them didn't know until like I explained like what I was doing there. And they would be like, but you don't look like you did time. Like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, part of life.
Getting it. Yeah, getting it. Where are you at right now with your college stuff? Are you finished yet?
I'm in my last semester.
Nice.
Congratulations. Oh, my gosh.
And this is for what? What are you pursuing right now?
I'm a psychology major. I'll be graduating in May.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, I'm just like, finally.
So now you transition out of the community into...
Yeah, so I got released on Father's Day.
Completely from that spot?
Completely. No ankle monitor, nothing. So I did almost 10 years, 9.5 years.
Wow.
And I was 20 when I went in, and now I'm 30 and back into society. And I'm just like, like, can't wait to start my new life. I walk out the program and, I had like my immediate family. Like, I'm talking about my grandmother, my best friend, my brothers. My little brother lives in Texas. He like flew out here, Like,
that's so cool.
And, and just the way the program, like, said goodbye to me, like the whole staff was there. Like,
because you were there a long time.
Yeah.
Like they had to have grown on you.
Yes. And like I have everyone's phone numbers, the director's phone number, anything you need, put us as reference.
Good, man.
Yeah, like that's another little family I made while I was in there. Like now I have like my prison friends that are actually my family, and a lot of them are out here, and I still keep communication with them. I'm like, now I have like, this other network of family, and I have my real family.
Right.
Yes, it was a beautiful goodbye and a beautiful welcome.
Correct.
So I as soon as I come out, before I come out, I already have a job.
Damn.
Out of the housing program.
No, not out of the housing. It's funny because they did tell me like, you wouldn't want a job with us, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, like,
what?
I already have a job lined up for me. Yes, my brother owns his own company.
Okay.
So he's like, hurry up and get home because you got to start working. So.
And congrats to your big bro.
Seriously, man,
like,
it sounds like they're doing well.
Yeah,
It's
like
a tough
congrats to your
fucking
big bro
road out
for
here,
Yeah, and that's what I always say. Like really, I feel that one of the reasons why a lot of the girls like go back to what they know is because they don't have that support system.
Right.
Like, you know, when you don't have that support system, somebody to back you up, somebody to help you up, like, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to what you used to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, luckily for me, like I came home to, like, I already had something waiting for me. I had a job, you know, I had a car already.
Wow.
You know, just love from everyone. Moral support, emotional support, like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you good? So I come home and I'm just like my block, I'm just like, whoa, like what happened here, you know? And I feel like I just like jumped right into it. Like my transition wasn't even like I'm struggling. The only thing I did struggle with, and I would tell my brother, because I do all his paperwork, invoices, payroll.
That is such a valuable skill as well. That like that's amazing that he plugged you up with not only with just any ordinary job, but a job where you actually gaining a solid skill for your resume, man.
Yes,
You know?
and not only that, so my brother owns a fleet of trucks.
Damn. Okay.
So
Yes.
and he also does maintenance on trucks. So
Wow.
he has two companies. You know, he
He's
has
fixing his own cars.
Yes, he fixes
That's
his own
smart.
truck. So and he, you know, he's always like, you know, he like gets down and like fixes his own truck, and he's like, he's very like, do you want to know what I'm doing? And I'll be like, okay. So he'll like explain to me, and he's like, you gotta memorize all these parts. So I'm just like, you do the invoices. Like I can't be telling you what I'm doing all the time, you know. And I'm just like, okay.
Oh,
So-
because you're just that inquisitive. You just like you want to know what he's, you know.
So technically, he's like, you have to memorize all these parts, like all the parts, because
it
I'm
goes hand in hand with the invoicing.
With the invoice, I
Okay.
have to put the parts that, you know, what did they do and what did they fix and what the part was and how much was the cost of the part, you know. So I'm like learning all that. Like, okay, so this part, this truck.
This is a rotor, a whatever, a steering wheel. I don't know. I don't know any car parts, but yeah, now I'm with you.
Yeah, and you know, and like sometimes he's like, okay, this is how you fix it. And I'm just like, okay, I know how to fix it. He's like, all right, next time I need you to do that, you're gonna do it.
Damn.
You know, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, okay, pass me this and do that. And like I'm pretty, so it's funny because when they ask like, so what do you do? I'm like, well, I'm technically like personal assistant. I'm like accountant. I'm like
Multiple
practically
hats.
everything.
yeah, and whatever he wants me to do, like I'm gonna do it. And yeah, you know, it's cool that I'm learning, and he knows like I'm in school, so he's like, you know, do your school, and I'm also getting a second job in March with, I don't know if you guys heard of CJL.
No.
CJL, Southern, no.
California Justice Leaders,
Oh, never mind.
and they're a
okay.
nonprofit.
Where are they located?
Wow.
Out here in this
so-
area as well.
Yes, they're like kind of everywhere, and what they do is that like they pick a cohort, and if you're picked, they're gonna like put you in a nonprofit. So I'm gonna
Nice.
work with I don't know if you guys heard of Grid.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
we
I'll
work
be
with
working
Grid.
We have a
with
really
Grid.
good relationship.
Yeah.
With Grid.
Okay, so I'll be working with Grid in March.
Congrats, man. That's fucking
That's
amazing.
so cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
And you know, like that's my goals. I'm like blessed to have a great support system, and my brother pretty much like says, whatever you want to do, like, yes, I'll help you. You want to start your own business, yes, whatever you want. But you know, I'm just like, you know, slow down.
Yeah.
Like I'm still like figuring it out. He's like, I just want you to know the whole business, like have your own business. Run
Yeah.
it. But I'm told, I'm like, I think I want my own nonprofit. He's all like, let's do it. So,
And I know
Show
somebody.
support.
I know
That's
somebody
real
that could help
support.
out with that. Yeah, that's awesome.
you know, I'm just there. He's like, all right. He's not like, let's do it. You know, so I'm just like, okay. So right now, you know, finishing college, I will be transferring to Cal State LA. I'll probably just finish up to, you know, my bachelor's, just cause, you know, I feel at this point, I'm going to school not for the degree, but for the love of school and for the love of just, you know, understanding other people. That's why I major in psychology. You know, just being able to help someone wherever they're at. And
That's
like, yeah.
amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's like those stories that It's the best possible outcome for somebody that's formerly incarcerated to get plugged in that way, and not only for that, because a lot of people get plugged in but they don't take advantage of it, or they just don't have the tools within them to be able to navigate it. You know what I mean? And luckily, you're blessed to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely. And they ask me like, so what is your goal? Like, what do you want to do in life? I'm like, I would love to become like a motivational speaker. Like just go around and like sharing my stories. Targeting, teenagers, young adults, like I did time, like I went down the wrong road. I did almost 10 years in prison, but like I gained so much more from being in there, I came out with an education, like I came out healed, I know where I went wrong, but it's not about the mistakes you do in life, it's about how you pick up yourself. And, like, mistakes do not define you.
Fuck no,
right.
At all. Yeah.
And you're already doing it now. The motivational speaking through the podcast, all that is what you're doing now. Before we wrap things up, can you talk about what happened with your babies, with the kids?
That was exactly what I wanted to end it on.
Real quick. End it off on that note, and then.
So the first thing I want to say is that last month, my daughter turned 15.
Hey,
wow, you made it. You made it.
15.
So I made it to her 15th birthday, just like she asked me to. My 3 children, I'm fighting custody for them right now as we speak.
Because they went with dad, right? And
so
that's a tough one, yeah.
It's a tough one because dad actually lost custody of them, but they're still with the family.
Okay.
Got it.
So a little thing I didn't tell you guys was that while I was in there, I know that I was going to have to fight custody for them. So I practically did like everything I know they were going to ask me for. Parenting classes, anger management, like I did everything. So when I went to court and I presented all this, they're like, okay, well, you don't have to do anything, but just, like keep like visiting.
Stay positive.
Yeah, like your kids. And then like eventually like, yeah. I have court again in March and social workers like we have no reason to deny you. Like,
That's amazing, man. And you talk to the babies and everything, and they're ready.
Yes.
They're ready. Yeah. Okay.
They're ready to come home, man.
And just know, too, which I'm sure you've thought about all these angles, it is a transition even for them, because they've been with the people they've been with. It's a whole thing, and but I'm just glad that it's working out the way you the way you envision it, the way, and you put in the work for it, too. Does that make sense? Like, it didn't just happen. You didn't just, like you said, you had to, like, proactively go out there and get it to be able to make it happen again,
No, definitely, and they asked me, like, how did you do it in there? And I'm like, it's like life out here. You make of life whatever you want it. Like, it's just, that's what it is, If you're out here, you're going to have your ups and downs. Prison was the same thing for me. Of course, I had my ups and downs, but, it was like my attitude was going to determine my outcome. So it was just like, I'm going to keep going.
Right.
Got you. Shit. I mean, that was an amazing testimony. Again, I want to thank you for whatever. We put out a little post, you reached out, we made it happen, you came through. And again, everybody, thank Evelyn for such an amazing testimony.
Honestly. Some few words for some females out there. What would you want to tell them?
What type of females? Any females?
Any.
I mean, any, I guess.
Or the target that you have in your head,
exactly.
the people you want to work with.
No, what I would say to everyone is that, one, there's nothing impossible in this world. Like, absolutely nothing. You want it, you could get it.
There you go.
That part.
Awesome,
Let's
man.
get it, baby. Who said we don't drop gems?
Let's get it.